But we want to have everyday people as well. So the everyday restaurateur, the person that is into science. So we have a broad range of people.
The 3-day event hits Atlanta from August 7th through the 9th. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM. W269DL Milwaukee and WGKB Waukesha.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, oh, the airwaves king. Shake the ground, unveils the truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, or the airwaves king. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. And as promised today, July 30th, 2026, we have returning to the studio Milwaukee County Executive and Democratic candidate for governor, David Crowley. Mr. County Executive, how are you today?
You know, every day is a good day. I can't complain. How are you, Sherwin?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, I saw you on stage a couple of nights ago. It was billed as a Democratic debate. We do still have a relatively crowded primary. Were you satisfied with the style and the format of that quote-unquote debate? I didn't necessarily see it as a debate because there wasn't the fiery rhetoric back and forth between the candidates. Your thoughts on the debate?
Well, it was great to be able to have a statewide televised forum. I wouldn't characterize it as a debate because we didn't have a lot of time. And there was a lot of questions. It was rapid fire, and it kind of felt rushed to have 5 candidates up there with only an hour to talk to voters all across the state of Wisconsin. So, it was difficult to communicate all the points that you wanted to communicate. But I think that we were able to show that, one, we're bringing in executive leadership, and that, we're not going to allow anybody to roll over us, and that our job is to make sure that we're meeting voters where they are and speaking directly to the issues that matter most to them. And, we can talk about affordability as it relates to housing, health care, child care, raising the minimum wage, and those are the things that we need to focus on. But it was really difficult navigating within that short amount of time frame to communicate exactly what we wanted to get through.
What did you want to communicate to the viewing audience that you felt you didn't have enough time to articulate? Where did you maybe fall short in your response?
Well,
Any particular topic?
Not a particular topic, but I think that it's the debate aspect, right? It's being able to rebuttal, being able to respond to a candidate's answer, right? Whether we're talking about flip-flops, whether we're talking about information that's not necessarily true, and just to be able to, just focus on the things that matter most. And so it was a little bit difficult. Again, I truly appreciate WISN for hosting this, because they were the only news station, across the entire state that was willing to put this on. So I do commend them for doing that.
7%, the most recent Marquette University Law School poll, that is what it has you at. 34% of the voters are undecided, even though the election is literally here. 117,000 people have already mailed their ballots in. Early voting started on Tuesday. Do you see some opportunity in that 34%? And can you potentially explain that to us? I've never seen anything like this, because here we are in a midterm election, first open Democratic primary for governor since 2010, and a third of the voters still haven't made their minds up. What gives, David?
One, I think it's a lot of candidates, right? And I think it's definitely overwhelming a lot of folks. And there's a lot of division and distraction also happening, right, within this Democratic primary and happening throughout this country. And so I think that, one, we have to stop tearing candidates down. Let's focus on the policies. Let's absolutely, stand up and be firm on any lies or any flip-flopping. But let's make sure we understand that the ultimate goal is to make sure that we are electing a nominee that can ultimately defeat Tom Tiffany in November. And so that 34%, they're leading in the polls. And so that creates a lot of opportunity. And so, one, I'm going to meet people exactly where they are. Going out, actually this weekend we're going to take a tour up north. I'll be gone for a few days, actually going to be doing some campaigning with Governor Evers. And so, one, since we have raised the necessary resources to be on TV, we weren't able to get ahead, right, when you think about when that poll came out, to actually inform folks about that poll. But as we get ready to hit the road, let Governor Evers tag team along with us to help bring that message out. We know that we're going to be able to resonate with families, because, one, they don't just want somebody who's going to just tell them what they're going to do. They want somebody that they can trust. They want somebody who's actually done this work. And being the only candidate that actually serve as a county executive, representing 19 different municipalities, where we actually have receipts. Once we're able to talk to these voters, we know that we'll be able to bring them. And many of these voters are older voters who are on the fence about, who the Democratic Party is actually becoming. And I think this is an opportunity to talk directly to them.
Joel Brennan served as the DOA director for Tony Evers. Mandela Barnes was elected with Tony Evers in 2018 to be his lieutenant governor. However, the governor decided to put his endorsement behind you. Your thoughts on that, and also the fact that the governor made that decision when he absolutely did not have to. Endorsing in a primary is not something that incumbents usually do. He did take that step, but he passed over folks that actually worked either in his administration or were elected alongside of him. Your thoughts on that honor?
It's an absolute honor, right? Because when I think about, Governor Evers for the past 8 years, not only defeating Scott Walker, right? Got us through the pandemic, and quite honestly has been the best damn goalie Democrats could have had with a Republican-controlled legislature. And so Governor Evers has had the opportunity to watch all of us, work directly with all of us. And I think receiving his endorsement just shows his confidence and not just my leadership, but in my judgment. The way that we have been able to coalesce people from all across this state, all across the political spectrum, to be involved in not just this campaign, but making sure that we're passing policies that impact communities all across the state of Wisconsin in a positive way. And so, it is absolutely an honor to receive not just his endorsement, right? But we've now received many elected officials across the state, right? Not too long ago, the Waukesha mayor, the Sheboygan mayor, the Wauwatosa mayor. We received IBEW, the operating engineers, and other unions across this state. And so we're building the necessary winning coalition, with resources, with volunteers. And so, doesn't mean it's going to be easy, though, right? I still have to go meet people where they are, build those relationships, earn their trust, and ultimately earn their vote on August 11th and November 3rd.
Speaking with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, he is a Democratic candidate for governor. You're the only executive in the race of the largest, most populous county in the state of Wisconsin. The amount of money that we contribute as far as property taxes and income taxes and hotel taxes and car rental taxes and all of the taxes that Milwaukee generates, the economic engine of the entire state. Is Milwaukee a liability? And I'm asking you this question very seriously because on paper, you would think you would want someone with executive experience of leading the biggest county that is the economic engine, yet the polling doesn't necessarily reflect that. And I'm always a little nervous of how outstate folk see and perceive Milwaukee. They don't see all the good that we do. They don't see all of our economic activity. Yeah. They don't see all of our festivals and all of the jobs that are created here. Do you think that the perception of Milwaukee outstate might be a hindrance?
Yes and no, right? And when I say yes, because we know that 30, 40, 50 years, the Republicans have been creating a message about, Milwaukee is the dump, even though you think about Fortune 500 companies, they're here in Milwaukee. You think about the amount of income that is being generated, it's all in Milwaukee, right? I mean, people may not know that the city of Milwaukee County, we lose $7.5 billion a year because that's how many people earn their money in Milwaukee County but don't live in Milwaukee County, right? Which also affects the shared revenue formula about how we're able to invest in things that matter most to the entire community. And so, yes, I do think that there's a perception issue. But I would also say no, because we have worked with many communities all across this state, right, to change the perception, right? And the fact that we were, I've been able to negotiate with the Republican-controlled legislature to bring close to $100 million a year back to Milwaukee County, and they're talking about how the leadership has been different. I do think it causes some people to pause and go, I didn't know all of that was going on. And I would tell you, as I travel across this state, and we're talking about the investments in affordable housing, right? 6 different projects, 1,000 units, and not just in the city, all across Milwaukee County, having the lowest unsheltered homeless population per capita in the country. When you talk about how we've reduced overdose deaths here in Milwaukee County, when you talk about how we've created the no wrong door model of care, all these rural communities, suburban communities all across the state, their ears perk up and they go, I didn't even know that was happening. And so we have to do a better job about how we actually talk about how we're making progress, right, and build those relationships. And so we have made it a point, particularly within Milwaukee County, to share our resources, to share our best practices. And the more and more we're able to do that, the more we're able to change the perception about how folks view Milwaukee outside of southeastern Wisconsin.
Speaking with Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, he is a candidate for governor. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to ask you about you raising your hand on that stage because a question was asked. Yeah. Who on this stage would support that bipartisan piece of legislation that would have distributed some of the surplus? And, of course, it was a interesting deal that Governor Evers constructed with Robin Vos. You said that you would have supported that. Don't answer now, but do you think the voters see you as progressive enough? Don't answer. We're going to talk about that when we come back. You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll both be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome back to the program. County Executive David Crowley is in the studio. We're just getting right back into it. Bipartisanship it's important. It is how things get done. A lot of folks don't understand that. I think folks have gotten used to one political party versus another needing a trifecta. You need the courts, you need the legislature in order to get things done. You supported or would have supported the Governor Evers bill because it was, in fact, bipartisan. Is bipartisan a dirty word in the Democratic primary? And do you believe that you are progressive enough to satisfy the progressive voters in Wisconsin?
So to answer the first question, the reason why I raised my hand is because it would have been a bipartisan deal, and I think when I think about a bipartisan deal, that means that I was at the table working with both houses and leadership on both sides of the aisle in order to get something done. And I think that we look at compromise as caving, but compromise is making sure that a political party doesn't win, but the people you represent wins, right? And so there are going to be opportunities when you have a split house where you're not going to agree on everything, right? Republicans are going to get something, Democrats are going to get something, but both parties are not 100% there, but they know it's going to benefit everybody. And I think that when political parties are putting themselves in a position where we totally have to win and the other party totally has to lose, it's the people who lose out at the end of the day, right? Because we have to be careful of unintended consequences, and we don't need to steamroll our way through. We need to make sure that we are directly impacting the communities that we represent. And when people ask, well, it wasn't progressive, it's just like, well, I am a progressive. I'm pragmatic in what we are able to do, right? Progressive is making sure that you can invest $100 million into affordable housing and eviction prevention. Progressive is not keeping opioid settlement dollars and actually giving them out to community members each and every single year because they're the trusted messengers. And so we got to get back to a place where we can develop trust. And the reason why we're not seeing bipartisanship is because we have sown so much distrust in the government to where we're now asking people, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, to know if we should trust them or not. And so we got to get back to the basics. Which means that we have to take care of those that we represent. We have to make sure that every decision we are making, they're the ones that are being impacted the best way. And it's not about making sure your political party is in the best position, because if we're making these decisions and we're being extremely political about it, then it means that it's Wisconsinites who are losing out. And so, I see myself as a progressive. And when people ask me, what kind of Democrat are you? It's like, I'm going to get stuff done. I'm a get stuff done type of Democrat. And so I'm always willing to come to the table to work with somebody to make sure that we're making an impact on those that we represent. But I will always stand up for this community when somebody's trying to do harm.
I'm assuming it's one of the reasons why Governor Evers decided to endorse you, because he would not shy away from working with Republicans if there was a deal that could benefit the people in the state of Wisconsin. And that is certainly something that we need. He also was not shy about telling Republicans to kick rocks when the deal and the proposal was one that was not good for the advancement of the state. So during the debate, Beyonce was invoked. I was like, oh, no, she's going to come out on stage. Can you clear that up for us? Because it's actually an acronym.
Beyonce is an acronym.
Please clear it up for us.
Yeah, so Beyonce is an acronym. And so it's not the R&B singer Beyonce per se, but Beyonce stands for Bring Your Own New Clean Energy. And this is for the data centers, making sure that they're building the clean energy infrastructure to get as close to 100% renewable energy as possible, so we're not the ones, paying for any infrastructure or paying for any utility costs that's being passed on to us as ratepayers.
Thank you for clearing that up because, Mr. County Executive, this election cycle has been very unusual. And so somebody mentioning Beyonce on stage would make me think, well, we've seen everything else. We might as well have Beyonce coming out and doing a routine. Speaking of things that are...
Well, I am trying to upgrade the states, though.
There you go. On the lines and along the lines of Black cultural impact, and we know, of course, Beyonce has a lot.
Yeah.
This race has been noticeably devoid of issues that specifically impact the African-American community. Now, there was a conversation about education, and the other candidates' stances on education, I think, is very, very harmful to Milwaukee because there's some nuance here and education delivery systems here that people from other parts of the state may not know anything about. And I think it's evident the ignorance of some of those other candidates. But there was a time in which Democrats would go out of their way, especially in a Democratic primary, to really court African-American voters. And I'm not really seeing it in this election cycle like I have seen it in previous. Now, I'm not testing your credentials and what you can deliver for the African-American community, but I do think it needs to be reiterated because the other candidates, it seems, they don't even want to touch our community. If you get elected governor and you are responsible for helping to craft and sometimes reconstruct a state budget with the line item veto, what can you deliver for Milwaukee? Will you be committed in your resource delivery to Milwaukee? Because we absolutely need them. And there's no assurances from these other candidates that they will be specific in delivering for the biggest city in the state and the county in which you are executive.
No matter how much folks across the state may deny it, but if Milwaukee falls, so does his state. And so we have to make sure that we are investing in Milwaukee. And so for me, it's finishing the job that we've already started, right? How do we make sure we continue to provide not just affordable housing, but housing for first-time homeowners at an affordable rate like we've done in the King Park neighborhood, 100 brand new homes in conjunction with Group and the Habitat for Humanity. It's making sure that we can increase the transportation budget, right? Not just to fix the potholes in the roads, but to make sure that our transit system actually has dedicated funding because we have the largest transit system in the state, and we're one of the very few large transit system in the country that's never had dedicated funding source, right? It's about making sure that we are actually putting more money towards education. And it's not just the schools, right? But what about all the wraparound services to make sure that we can increase the reading rates, right? The disparities that we see in income, the disparities that we see in home ownership, the disparities that we see, in every single category here in the state of Wisconsin. And so we also need to get creative. We have seen the fact that they've eliminated scholarships that was specifically, crafted for people of color. They've eliminated, and we were talking about it not too long ago, but the fact that we are now going to be coming up against a constitutional amendment this upcoming November that will literally write out people of color from being able to get contracts and things of that nature, right? And so we actually people need to understand that this is a very critical election. And when I think about this August 11th primary, all of these things are on the ballot because the question is who's going to be fighting for you? Who's going to make sure that you have a seat at the table and you're no longer on the menu? Because that's where we've been. And when you think about what's impacting the Black community here in Milwaukee County, is also impacting poor communities in rural Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin. And so this is an opportunity to understand that we need to break bread. We need to have real conversations to make sure that when the tide rises, all the boats rise in this state.
The Trump impact. Tom Tiffany, who is likely the Republican nominee, has been endorsed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump is now, of course, still talking about election fraud and election interference. We've even had election officials here in Milwaukee get visits from people in Donald Trump's Department of Justice. Even though there's a Democratic primary that is literally going on right now, you have to be looking forward to what the impact of Donald Trump and his minions and his Department of Justice is going to do to upend this election. Your thoughts on that, and can you go on offense against Donald Trump? Because I think that we need a governor that will be able to do that. So Donald Trump's potential impact in this election and also going on offense against him and pushing back on him, especially when he comes and tries to attack Wisconsin.
We absolutely have to push back, especially in anybody who, whether it's Donald Trump or anybody who is going to attack our democracy. It's not just the governor, it's not just the legislature. All of us need to stand up and push back because this is our voice that's on the line. And so, when it comes down to this, we have to work with all of our county clerks. We need to make sure that we're working with the Wisconsin election commissioners. We need to make sure that we're working with community members and poll workers to help them understand that we have their back. And so when our elections director was visited at her private residence by the FBI, we made sure to partner with, a nonprofit organization, Democracy Defenders, to make sure not only she was protected, but to help lend towards the fight against trying to take the 2020 ballots that we still have, right? Because we've seen all these frivolous lawsuits. And so we know that they're willing to go beyond measure to destroy our democracy, to continue to sow doubt in our elections and destroy the integrity, but we're going to continue to push back. And when you talk about being on the offense, I think that's the problem with the Democratic Party. Right now, they're spending money. Republican Governors Association, you have Turning Point USA spending money on the candidate that they believe is the easiest to be. And the reason why they're doing that is because they want to define who we are as Democrats, because we haven't been able to. As long as we are only responding to Trump and Republicans, they are defining us for us. So we have to get on the offense. We've been playing defense for so long that we don't even know what it means to be on offense. We haven't even been pushing policies or a vision. We've only been saying what we need to do to fight back. But we haven't communicated to any of the voters what we're fighting for. And I think that has to be key. And so I remember when we worked on our first strategic plan here in Milwaukee County about how we're going to become the healthiest county in the state. We need to be doing the exact same thing for the state of Wisconsin, the exact same thing when it comes down to Democrats, because we can't allow them to define us, because what they want to do is prop up certain candidates and say, see, they are communists. See, they are socialists. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that whoever is representing us as a Democratic nominee has everybody's interests around them. Because we are a big tent party, but even though we're a big tent, especially with some of the online comments that we're seeing and things of that nature, people are trying to kick folks out of this tent. And we need to recognize that we're not always going to agree, but we all share the same goal in making sure that we can destroy the legacy of Donald Trump and what he has created in the past decade.
I find it ironic that, as you said, the Democratic Party is a very big tent. There is a set of policies for just about everybody: black, white, gay, straight, organized labor, public education, supporters, environmentalists. It literally runs the gamut. I also want folks to know that in that big tent with all these different diverse constituencies, some of whom don't get along in the tent, there's a little bit of arguing in the tent, but I think at the end of the day, the policymaking apparatus of the Democratic Party is one that makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. Democratic socialists are not in that tent. They have their own tent. I know you probably don't want to answer this, and you got to go, so whatever answer you give, it's got to be short. Do you think it is helpful to have a Democratic socialist running in a Democratic primary?
My response would be, even the Republican Party of Wisconsin has said out loud that they want to make their jobs easy. They are literally saying that they want a Democratic socialist to actually be the nominee. They are spending $3.9 million to make sure that they're picking the nominee. And they shouldn't be meddling, right? And I do think that having a democracy, having options, that's something that we absolutely need. And so I welcome all the candidates in this race. And I think that all the candidates can actually win in this race. Does it make it harder for some? Now that I've read that article, it seems like, they want to put their thumb on the scale because now they want to define us. Because if you actually get a Democratic socialist who is going to become the nominee, you can actually call the Democrats a socialist. You can call them a communist, because that's what they have identified with. And so we have to think long term as far as who we want to be as a party. And I think that's extremely important in this election here in Wisconsin, because this is going to have effects not just here in our state, but across this entire country. and it's going to show a playbook that the Republicans are going to employ, in every state election moving forward, because they have a lot more money. The $3.9 million, that's more money than I think all of us has combined, raised in this entire primary.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, if people want more information about the campaign, how to get involved, or they can read more about your platform, where should they go?
Every single social media platform, and the handle is at Crowley, FORWI. You can visit our website, crowley4wi.com. You can sign up to volunteer, to receive information, or you contribute, right? But in the next week and a half, this is a full all-out sprint, and so we need everybody to get involved. And I tell folks, this is a full contact sport. And even if you're not in the game, it doesn't mean you won't get hit on the sideline. So you might as well get in this game, get involved, and make sure that your voice is heard.
Mandela Barnes, you should drop out of the race. David, thank you for being here. Good luck on the campaign trail, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you, Sherwin. Thanks for having me.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
At Milwaukee College Prep, we believe brilliance lives in every child. Here, students are challenged, supported, and celebrated every single day. With small class sizes, dedicated teachers, and a proven track record of academic excellence, MCP is helping Milwaukee kids reach their fullest potential. Enrollment is still open for grades K-3 through 8. Spaces are limited. Apply today. Give your child a school where they'll thrive. Visit mkeprep.com or call today. Milwaukee College Prep, brilliance lives here.
Natural gas is a clean, reliable, and convenient source of energy delivered directly to you through underground pipelines. The pipeline system has an excellent safety record, but there are clues that can help you identify a potential hazard. If you smell the strong odor of rotten eggs, hear an unusual hissing sound, or see blowing dirt or debris, it could be a natural gas leak. Leave the area immediately and call We Energies at 800-261-5325.
We Energies. People you can trust. Energy you can depend on.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
So Beyonce means, it's an acronym because he said it on the debate stage and it felt out of context because he was also very rushed. They all were very rushed. And even though I'm not supposed to tell you guys this, there's a group of people that is trying to put together a second debate amongst the candidates between now and August 11th. I don't know how successful they're going to be because at this point, the front runner shouldn't even participate in an additional debate. Whether she would or whether she would not, I'm not sure, but she doesn't have to. If you guys recall, in the 2024 election cycle, there was almost a Republican primary. There were a number of Republicans that were running to get the nomination to run against ultimately Kamala Harris in November of 2024. Do you guys remember that cycle where Donald Trump didn't show up to a single debate? He didn't have to. He was the front runner. He didn't have to risk making himself look stupid. He didn't have to waste any time debating any of those other Republicans. And quite honestly, it was a power move. I thought it would have been a tremendous mistake to not participate in a debate, to deny voters and potential voters access to you if you decide not to answer questions put forth by the moderators. It turned out to be a political flex. So even if they do want to have a debate, which is what a lot of us were expecting, I wanted somebody to go on offense. It could be a reason why the largest constituency in this Democratic primary is a constituency that is still undecided, because I believe they want to see somebody take the gloves off, because we are in a rough and tumble political climate and environment. And I guess I do appreciate how the Democrats that are running for governor are all being nice to each other, but I don't know if nice is the theme of the day, because the threats that are coming at us are anything but nice. Don't you want to see the fire in somebody's belly, how they're going to take it to Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump is going to invade and infect this state with some of the worst policies and some of the worst malfeasance and malpractice you have ever seen. And it's great that all of these Democrats are nice and they're all agreeing with each other. And it almost seems like they're trying to out-progressive each other, which is really, really sweet. But here's a problem that the Democrats have when it comes to their PR and their image. They just seem too soft. They seem soft on crime, because that whole defund the police thing, even though it's mostly fiction and make-believe, it still kind of exists, because there was never any thoughtful explanation of defunding the police means you can redirect some of the gigantic resources that we spend on police and law enforcement into other areas and avenues like healthcare, mental health resources, violence interruption, etc. There are other investments that we can make where you don't have to call a cop all the time, because just statistically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, the more times police go to calls, the more likely it is that one of those calls goes south and there's someone having a mental health crisis and they get killed. There actually is proven strategies, but that just sounds like, oh, they want to defund the police, and then that narrative is the one that catches steam, because we can't defund the police, you know that. But I think that that's still, it harms Democrats because it makes them look like they are a party that is very soft on crime. And I know Milwaukee takes a lot of heat for that. You can look at a whole bunch of different cases where someone was arrested for something, might have even been a violent crime. They're released, they're out on bond or out on bail, then they go and they commit another crime, and then when they ultimately get sentenced, those sentences are very, very light. And for people that take crime and criminal justice very seriously, if you're a business owner, if you're a homeowner, if you have children, you don't want criminals out here roaming the streets. And Democrats have this perception of wanting to do everything but punish some of the worst criminals. And don't let Francesca Hahn run away from this. At one point in time, she wanted to abolish the jail and the prison system. Can't do that. You can't. I know that mental health is very important and you need to invest in mental health, but there's some people we have to remove from society. Now, there are some people who are removed from society, I think, unnecessarily and for too long. But it's such an incredible extreme to want to get rid of jails and prisons because they may be inhumane. It's hard to tell that to a society that is dealing with all sorts of criminal behavior, which makes investments in certain neighborhoods and communities damn near impossible because the crime is so incredibly high. I think there is a direction that Democratic voters are tilting in, and it's as far left as they can possibly get to be the polar opposite of Donald Trump. But the further left you go, the weaker you may actually look. And at some point, Democrats have got to go on offense. And don't just go on offense against Donald Trump. Go on offense in defending policies, in defending public safety, because they do look very, very weak. And that's just the overall perception, especially if you want independent voters and moderate voters who don't really seem to be included in this particular election cycle. Everybody's trying to move further and further to the left. And there is a cohort of voters that want to see that in the folks that they are going to vote for. But there's a whole bunch of people in the middle, and Wisconsin is not that kind of state. Wisconsin is not the kind of state where you can go as far left as you possibly can and expect to win statewide. I would argue that Kamala Harris was about as moderate and as centrist as you could possibly get. That was her politics, though. There were some other factors, her race and the fact that she was a woman, which I don't think did her any favors. But to actually win an election, because people want to win the ideology war, they want the most perfect, progressive, anti-capitalist, we hate rich people policies because it looks really good and it sounds really good, and we're going to fight for the working class, and all that stuff really is great. But there's a cohort of voters that will never support that. It also should be noted, and these are just facts, ladies and gentlemen. You can take with this information, take it with a grain of salt, do with it what you will. If the Republicans are spending almost $4 million to help Francesca Hahn get elected, what does that tell you? Because if the Republicans were spending $4 million to help David Crowley advance out of the primary, I would have a whole lot of questions about that. The Republicans want the path of least resistance, and let me tell you why. They know Tom Tiffany is weak. He's slightly stronger than Ron Johnson was in 2022, but he is weak. So the Democrats got a favor in this election cycle. I'm going to tell you what it is. And the favor that Democrats got needs to be taken advantage of, and I don't know if any of these candidates who are running right now in this primary, where 34% of the voters are still undecided, are taking advantage of this gift that they were given by the Republicans. So Brian Stile, who is the congressman of the 1st District, very conservative dude, been in Congress he was the successor to Paul Ryan. Hell, he's probably been in Congress 10 years if he's been there a day. Brian Stile would be the most popular and successful Republican candidate for governor, but he opted not to run because if Brian Stile was in this race and if he was the Republican nominee for governor, the Democrats couldn't hold a candle to him. So we need to thank our lucky stars because having a Democratic socialist in a race where Brian Stile was the Republican nominee, the whole Democratic Party would have to rebrand itself because he is, in fact, just that good. But they got Tom Tiffany instead. Tom Tiffany lives with his mother. Tom Tiffany is weak. He's a gift to the Democrats. And here's the thing. He is so weak that the Republicans, the RNC, and the Republican Governors Association are spending money to get the Democratic Socialist candidate to advance out of the primary because it'll make it easier for weak Tom Tiffany to beat her because they know that he's not as strong as Brian Stile. Now, here's what Brian Stile is going to do in 2028. He's going to run for the U.S. Senate, where I believe Ben Wickler, who is the former chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, is also going to challenge Brian Stile. Ladies and gentlemen, that U.S. Senate race will probably be between $300 and $500 million. It'll be the most expensive U.S. Senate race you have ever seen because the amount of money that is going to get spent and raised on behalf of both of those candidates in 2028 is going to be astronomical. That's number one. Number two, it is a presidential election year where voter turnout is going to be through the roof. There's a lot of people in this country that are ready to vote for something or someone other than Donald Trump. But the Democrats have a gift right now, and that's Tom Tiffany, who's just a weird. He's weird. I'd love to check his browser history. You would see some stuff in there that you wouldn't like it. If you saw his browser history, probably a lot of mommy stuff because he just seems, have you seen it? His mother is in every commercial. You don't do that. And he's like 70. Sir, how do you even still have a mother? I mean, no offense. I'm just saying. So the Republicans have to spend money on the Democratic candidate that they believe is the absolute weakest. But just look at the contrast there. Francesca Hahn is doing very, very well. Now, here's the thing. 34% of the Democratic voters in the state of Wisconsin, they're not sold on her. The largest constituency is still undecided, and I don't know who's going to get them. I know there's somebody needs to go on offense very, very quickly. I don't know if it's going to be Joel Brennan or Kelda. I think David has the most potential. But David also should be campaigning on he can get other Democrats elected across the state in local government and in the Wisconsin Assembly and in the Wisconsin Senate. That's a very unique talent and skill because he has a message that I think Democrats in other parts of the state can gravitate toward and then also elect someone running for the Assembly and the Senate on a similar kind of pragmatic political platform. Extremes look good and work well in a primary, but you always have to remember the general election where there's a whole new, different crop of voters that are not going to vote in this election. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you some details on who this actual electorate is. And also some of the people that are telling you that they're involved and they're engaged with this election, they're lying to you, because the highest voter turnout that we may get come August 11th, including the 117,000 votes that were already cast, sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Sounds like a lot of votes. Do you think the turnout's going to be high? It's going to be 30%. Not 30% of the state's population. 30% of the people who are registered and eligible to vote. 70% of people, listen to me now, 70% of the eligible registered voters in the state of Wisconsin are not going to vote in August 11th. That's terrifying to me, because the people that are included in that 30% are some of the most extreme when it comes to some of the policies that they want to see. The people voting in the Democratic primary are not reflective of voters in Wisconsin. 70%, and that's a staggering number, but it also has the ability to skew which candidate comes out of the primary. We're only dealing with 30% of the voters here, and 30%, here's what's crazy, would be considered high turnout. One of the estimates I have right here says that we see 34% turnout, meaning 66% of the voters simply don't vote at all on August 11th. 34% will be some of the highest primary turnout we've seen in Wisconsin in decades. That's pathetic. So all these folks that are talking to you about, oh, I like this candidate, I like that candidate, like 6 out of 10 of them are lying to you because they're not going to vote. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
At Versity on King, we believe taking care of our community starts right here, together. Every day, neighbors step up to donate blood, helping save lives in Milwaukee and beyond. But Versity on King is more than a donor center. It's a place for health education, community connection, and support, especially for families facing conditions like sickle cell disease. When you donate blood, you're not just giving, you're showing up for your community. Visit versity.org/VersityOnKing to learn more or schedule your donation today. Versity on King, rooted in community, powered by hope.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
As of literally yesterday, July 29th, 2026, Wisconsin has 4,050,000 active registered voters. with registration continuing through Election Day because Wisconsin allows same-day voter registration. The exact number does fluctuate daily as municipalities update their voter rolls. So as of yesterday, we have 4,050,000. These are people that are actually registered to vote. This does not even include people who newly turned 18 or felons who got their right to vote reinstated because they've completed their extended sentence. So it's a really, really big number. That is actually very impressive considering that there are 5.8 million people in the state of Wisconsin. That is a lot of eligible and or registered voters. So that's an impressive number that we are dealing with. It is worth distinguishing between active registered voters, about 4.0 million, the number election officials generally use for turnout, and the voting eligible population. So these are people that can potentially vote. Like somebody's turning 18 right now. And if you were turning 18 right now, I hope there is someone in that person's life saying, hey, you know what, you should consider registering to vote. No, not you should consider it. You need to go and register to vote because, you know, the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Something else that I am noticing that is missing from this particular election cycle, there's usually a big push, usually from outside organizations. When I say outside organizations, they are decidedly non-political, just nonprofits writ large. Hey, make sure you register to vote. Hey, call your election commission to make sure that your voter registration is up to date. You would also hear candidates as a part of their message. So whenever they do, you know, like interviews on television or interviews with us here on radio and YouTube and podcasts. Hey, everybody, make sure you register to vote. Hey, you can go down and register to vote. You can do same-day voter registration. That is decidedly missing from the political talking points of these candidates that are running for office. Something else that you often see is they always mention their websites. On the candidate forum that we had a couple of days ago. Hey, everybody, go to davidcrowley.com and make sure you check out our platform. They're not even mentioning any of that stuff. It's just really weird. There's always a push to register voters. There's also a push that you hear from the candidates almost every single time they open their mouths. And I've gotten so damn used to it over the years that I usually tune it out, but it's evident and it's obvious when I don't hear them say it. Hey, everybody, make sure you go and register to vote. Make sure you check your voter registration. And also, hey, the polls are open. Go and vote early. None of them are saying that. This is very, very unusual. Like there's something in the air. And I'm also noticing this other common theme. And whenever I notice these things, I want to do my level best to share them with you, that they are trying to find a pathway. I think the Democrats as a whole are trying to find a pathway to win a nomination and win a general election without including the sentiments of the African-American community. Maybe they see Kamala Harris as a liability. There are a lot of things that I think Democrats learned the last time we had a race, a statewide race, which the presidential contest was, because Kamala Harris was vying for the popular vote here in Wisconsin in order to get the electoral votes. And I think that they scrapped every single thing that Kamala Harris did as far as her messaging, as far as her campaign platform. I think they threw literally all of that away. I think that personally there was some value in Kamala Harris's platform, but the package was wrong. I don't know if people were ready to vote for what we thought was a black woman. And it really comes down to that. Most voters, ladies and gentlemen, are not very sophisticated. They're not. I am trying to increase the level of sophistication of voters because I think that we should be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more thorough, other than what people usually say. Well, I like this person. I like them. Well, why do you like them? I don't know. I just do. Or I don't like that person. Okay, well, tell me why you don't like them. I don't know. I just don't. That's most voters, whether they like somebody or not, because you can like somebody that's terrible and will be a bad steward of public policy, but you like them, though, because they're nice and you like the color tie that they wear, or you like physical attributes of them. We have got to do a lot better than that, because just liking someone is not enough. And I've said it 1,000,001 times. I like David Crowley. I really do. He's a peach of a guy, but I need him to go on offense. The way he should have mopped the floor with the people on that stage, I wanted to see him take over. Like, hey, Joe Brennan, you work for Tony Evers, but he endorsed me. Mandela, you're a disgrace. Francesca, you're a goddamn communist. Kelda, we don't know what the hell you're doing up here. I wanted him to almost be a political bully, but stay on the merits. Because when you look at it, the people that are currently in that race are occupying space unnecessarily. Speaking of occupying space, hello, Israel. How are you today?
I'm feeling a little weak today. Can I be weak today?
Yes, please be weak today.
All right, so
Let's hear your weakness.
Something interesting, like, I thought about, like, with just like the pressures of everything going on right now. Crowley dropping out of the race, and he's back in and everything. It's like it's a lot of stuff going on, like in the news and locally and everything like that, and just the frustration and everything. The things that happened in Madison recently. I'm kind of I like to feel optimistic, but like Francesca and Crowley running right now against Tiffany, and it seems like he's already a shoe-in with Republicans. Seems I don't know what's going on with politics right now. It's getting kind of boring, so I think people need to start paying attention some more. You got all that other stuff that's going on. It's kind of desensitizing you and just exhausting you. The constant bombing and federal agents incidents. Now you got this police incident and everything like that. So I'm kind of wondering how people are feeling right now with everybody using these defense mechanisms, whether it comes to color or race or class or something right now. And then people are kind of getting divided because of all this crazy stuff going on. So I'm kind of concerned,
Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. No, we're fine. America goes through things every so often. We're going to be fine. We're going to come out better on the other side. It's good to go through things because then it sharpens our iron. Don't worry about it, Israel. Just go vote. Okay, hurry up because I got to take a break now.
All right. So you seem like you don't like or respect me too much. Why
would you say something like that? First of all, brother, I don't know you. I really don't. I don't know you from Adam. You call me sometimes when I'm at my job and you say some very unusual things sometimes. You've also come to the window of the studio that I work at and have made threatening gestures to me too. But even with that, I don't know you.
Even after the situation with fabricated footage and people with body camera issues, I'm trying to get people's attention for whatever reason, plus the insults and disrespect that you shown just out of the entertainment of making a fool out of me. I'm willing to look all
fabricated footage. Did you not call us and tell us that you got shot by the police? How was that fabricated? That was public. It was on body camera.
Yeah, they did some weird stuff with that.
Oh, okay. They edited the footage?
The audio and whatnot.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of messing with my reality.
Okay.
And perception of things right now.
Well, I'll tell you what. Nothing is personal. I literally don't know you.
Okay.
And that's just.
I was just trying to enlighten people and whatnot. And, make them not feel like,
You're not what? Okay. You got to worry about people like
Are you familiar with John Lennon?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd hate to get assassinated.
Yeah, I get
Actually,
those
no,
vibes.
it wouldn't be an assassination. They'd be like, that N-word got killed.
Yeah, it would have been black on black violence again.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 2.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I'm Sherwin Hughes, and I know the power of Stars and Stripes Honor Flight firsthand. As someone who's been on an honor flight, I can tell you it's a day you'll never forget. Stars and Stripes Honor Flight gives our oldest veterans who served in any location in June of 1975 or earlier a free one-day trip to Washington, D.C. for veterans. Airfare, meals, a coach bus tour, and special flight apparel are all included. It's a day of honor, gratitude, and camaraderie. Veterans who served in the Vietnam or Korean War go to flySSHF.org and ask for an application.
I always had to be so good, no one could ignore me. Carve my path with data and drive. But some people only see who I am on paper. The paper ceiling, the limitations from degree screens to stereotypes that are holding back over 70 million stars. Workers skilled through alternative routes, rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time for skills to speak for themselves. Find resources for breaking through barriers at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 101.7 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I want to continue providing you this information about the number of eligible and or registered voters that are in the state of Wisconsin, and also try and find some kind of explanation as to why 34% of the people are undecided. For those of you who may not follow these numbers very closely, first of all, that makes you a normal person if you don't follow polling very closely or the number of undecided or committed voters. That's stuff that weirdos like me follow. It is extremely rare. I'm not sure if I've ever seen it before where you have an open primary for governor, because we don't get those very often, because typically we elect a governor and we keep electing them over and over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know how many terms Tommy Thompson served, but he would probably still be governor now. The only reason why Tommy Thompson left his position as governor of the state of Wisconsin because he was selected by George W. Bush to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Otherwise, he would have stayed governor and would have gotten reelected over and over and over again. And before him, it was Lee Dreyfus, and before him, it was Tony Earl. So we tend to keep our governors for a very long time. But it's rare that you have a governor that was an incumbent and then they step down, and it creates this open primary that we have. And in a midterm election, when Donald Trump is president, and Donald Trump, as you know, is upending American democracy, and everything we've ever known about government and the Constitution has essentially been reversed and or rearranged, you would think that more voters would not only be excited, be eager, but also be decided on which direction they're going to go in. I don't know if people are sold on the leading candidate. Now, they've been breaking her way. Absolutely, they have. As time goes on, it seems that more and more people are deciding to ride with Francesca. And some of that is just the winner effect. Because she is leading, people like to bet on a winner. Statistically, it looks like she has this thing in the bag. But the largest constituencies still are people that are not yet decided. I'm going to add on to that. Voter turnout, if we're lucky, is going to be between 30 and 34%, meaning roughly 70% of the people that could vote are simply not going to. And I'm including the 117,000 ballots that have already been cast, and I would be willing to bet that they're probably 60-40 Sarah Rodriguez, Francesca Hong. Now, the question is, those Sarah Rodriguez votes, if those voters who've already voted by mail, they've already returned their ballot, and there's more and more ballots coming in every single day. If they had a chance to spoil their ballots, and I have the court case details right here that I'm going to share with you, because the Democratic Party of Wisconsin sued to allow those voters who cast their ballots while Sarah Rodriguez was still in the race, while Missy Hughes was still in the race. There's a court case to allow those voters to spoil their ballot. A court has recently said that they cannot spoil their ballots. I do have a problem with that. Let me tell you why. Because if I go and vote on the August 11th, and yes, I'm going to be one of the people that's going to go and vote on the August 11th. I like to go vote on Election Day. I like to get out in the thick of it. I like to see the lines of people. I like to talk to people. I like to see it all in front of my face. Because in my particular voting ward, I can get a sense of how an election is going to go based upon how my polling location looks and what number voter I am. So I vote at two very distinct times, and I can tell. I've been voting at that polling location since 2006. Very familiar. So 20 years, same location. I'm very familiar with the numbers, very familiar with the turnout. So I either vote before I come to work here at the radio station. So right at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm usually one of the first ones there. I go and I get my vote on, and then I hop in my vehicle and I come to work. Or I vote immediately after my show at noon. That's sometimes when you get the lunch rush, because by law, your employer has to give you a certain amount of time to go and vote, and a lot of people do go and vote during lunch. More people vote after work, but there's also a rush of voters, especially if you work near the polling location. Some people will go and vote at lunch. And I can tell how an election is going to go based upon the turnout in my particular ward, because it is overwhelmingly Democratic, but also low turnout in off-year elections. Not a big turnout for aldermanic races or county supervisor races or judicial races, but relatively decent turnout when it comes to presidential races, gubernatorial races, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to go on August 11th. I'm going to know who's in the lead based upon what voter turnout. I've been voter number one before. I've been voter number one before at 7:15. That's not good. I don't know if you can do it anymore, but people used to take pictures of their voter number. Like, there's laws and rules. You can't post your ballot. I know that much. But I used to post my voter number. And then some of my social media friends would also follow suit. And it used to make me really angry because I would see people that maybe lived in the Germantown or in the Washington counties or in the Ozaukee counties or in the Waukesha counties. You know, the counties that don't really count. And they will show their voter number, and they voted at 7:15 as well, and their voter number 219. I don't like that. I don't like it. They outvote us, and they shouldn't. So that's my explanation as to why I'm going to vote on Election Day, even though it's a calculated risk, because you never know. I might sprain my ankle or something playing a game of pickup basketball, and I may not be able to get to the polling location, but I'm just going to go ahead and take that risk. I said all that to say this. I can spoil my ballot at the polling location. If I want another ballot, I can get one. Or if I vote in a way that is inconsistent with the rules of the election, you can't split parties. You have to indicate which party you're voting for on this ballot because it is a primary election, and you can only vote for candidates running in that political party. Does that make sense to you? So at the top of your ballot, you're going to select your political party. You're going to select Democrat, Republican, or whatever assortment of third parties may be on that ballot. And so when you make that indication, okay, so let's say you select Democrat on the top of your ballot in this partisan primary, but then you scroll down and you vote for Tom Tiffany, it's going to spoil your ballot and you're going to get another one. So if you make a mistake, you get another ballot because there's usually an election worker right there. I don't like them being too close because I think sometimes they're trying to see who your boy voted for. I don't like that because they lurk. And then you put your ballot in, because I made a mistake before in the ballot. In fact, I think one time I tried to return a blank ballot. Like, I showed up at the poll, I signed the poll book, so I am counted as a registered voter that actually showed up to the poll, but I didn't want to vote for anybody. Like, I didn't mark anything. I didn't write anybody in, and the ballot came back out. Because it makes a very disapproving sound when you mess up on your ballot. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, it doesn't sound like that, but it just, and everybody hears it. And then the poll worker will say, hey, do you mind if I look at your ballot? Because they want to determine where you may have messed up. And the guy was like, sir, you have to vote for someone. I said, I don't want to. I don't like nobody on here. He's like, well, then you have to write somebody in. I said, fine, I'll write somebody in. I said, what's your name, sir? I'll write you in. But you get another ballot. I also want you to keep this in mind. There are going to be a number of people that voted already that mailed their ballots in. 117,000 votes have already been submitted, 117,000 and counting. So every single day, more votes are being received. People that got their ballot in the mail damn near a month ago. Some of those people messed up on those ballots, and they're not going to have the opportunity to correct it. So if you select Republican at the top of your primary election ballot and you want to vote for David Crowley, it's going to spoil that ballot. And I don't know if a lot of folks know that, because we don't have, as far as I know, any meetings or forums or town halls that instruct people on how you actually vote. And if you've never voted before, that ballot is confusing. I don't like the layout of it. So when I was on the election commission a long time ago, you know, back when we had a good election commission, we got it done. I was the chair, actually. I was young, too. I had just turned 30, and I was the chair of the election commission. And, man, we did some dirty partisan stuff. I don't know if I can tell you about it because I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but, woo, we were foul. But we helped out the Democrats. That's what I was there to do. we knew that our ballots, they're not very intuitive. They're not very user friendly. You've got to be very well versed. You've got to be very familiar, and you've got to be exceptionally literate. And so back then, because I was appointed by then Democratic Governor Jim Doyle, so back then our election commission was 9 members. And whichever political party occupied the governor's office, you got 5 members on the election board, the state elections board. So Jim Doyle appointed me. So we had 5 Democrats. So anything that the Democrats on the state election board voted for, we passed it. Our Republican colleagues knew, because it impacted them and their constituents as well, that the ballots are very confusing. And we get a lot of complaints. And also, we will get a number or a record of how many ballots were spoiled because people kept messing their ballots up. And we thought, for people that can't read, they should be able to vote. Your literacy and the poor public education you may have received should not be a barrier. That's like a literacy test when you think about it. If you are functionally illiterate, now we don't want you to be functionally illiterate, but we accept the fact that there are people in our society that can't read very well. They can't. You're not less of a human being. You just got sold short when it comes to education. Speaking of which, I should have asked David what fully funding public education actually means. I should have asked him that. Don't worry, I'll get one of these rascals back in here before August 11th. I'm going to pin somebody down on that question. So we came up with an idea of color coding ballots. If you know you want to vote for a Republican, but you're not a very good reader, it would be red for all the Republicans. They all would be noted or marked, or the ink would be red. And if you knew that you wanted to vote for a Democrat and you're not exactly the best reader, then you can see the color coded blue, and to make it a lot easier for people. Now, we also used to have a process. This was before I got on the elections board. This made it really easy. So if you are a partisan voter, like you're going to go and you're going to vote for a Democrat. You don't even care what Democrat it is. You don't care what Democrat is running in different offices. You're just going to vote for Democrats. Back in the day, when you got your ballot, you could select your political party at the top, just like you do now the primary ballot. And so if you knew you wanted to vote for nothing but Democrats, let's say in a presidential election or in a gubernatorial, all you would do at the top of that ballot is mark Democrat. You would draw the line, you would complete the arrow to Democrat, and it would cast a vote for each Democrat on both sides of that ballot on your behalf. So you didn't even have to read it. You didn't even have to turn it over. If you marked Democrat at the top, boom, you were done. It cast a single vote for every single Democrat that was listed on that ballot. Same thing if you wanted to go and vote for a Republican. You would just select the political party at the top, boom, you were done. But Republicans ultimately took that away because it made it too damn easy to vote. But the only reason why we didn't go with color-coded ballots is because it would have been hella expensive. It would have doubled or tripled the cost of printing our ballots. Because here's the thing about ballots. Let's say you have a real big presidential election where a lot of people are going to turn out. So Wisconsin, as of right now, has got about 4 million registered eligible voters, like 4.4. Well, you got to print 10 million ballots. You've got to print way more ballots than you have voters to account for the fact that some ballots may get damaged, some might get wet, and some might be spoiled because a voter makes a mistake. And it was already costly. And if we color-coded it, which would have been a lot easier for folks who are less than literate, it would have cost so much money, and ultimately the measure failed. But nobody is instructing people on how you actually vote, and it's embarrassing if you don't know how to vote. Now, we used to have a rule. I got to check these rules because in the last decade or so, a lot of rules have changed. You used to, by law, you could bring somebody with you, and they could mark your ballot on your behalf. Let's say you don't have full use of your hands and you don't write very well and you're not able to connect that arrow on the ballot. You actually could have another person assist you. You also used to have another person come with you to read the ballot to you, but they may have outlawed that. Active registered voters, 4 million, the number election officials generally use for turnout. Voting eligible population, or the VEP, roughly 4.45 to 4.55 million Wisconsin residents are eligible to vote, including those not yet registered. Wisconsin historically has one of the nation's highest registration rates because of same-day election registration. Early voting suggests a competitive primary. As of this week, more than 117,000 absentee ballots had already been returned. Earlier in the week, over 108,000 ballots had already been received. Those numbers are noticeably stronger than many previous Wisconsin gubernatorial primaries and indicate elevated Democratic interest. Expected turnout, August 11, 2026. Political scientists generally evaluate turnout using competitiveness, early vote, historical Wisconsin primary participation, media coverage, absence of an incumbent governor, and a crowded Democratic field. This race checks every single one of those boxes that increases primary participation. Registered voter turnout, 30 to 34%. That's it. That's high. I'm going to take a break, come back, and continue our conversation on the other side about eligible and registered voters, and the vast majority of them are not going to vote at all. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom? She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. Like it was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age, everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
When you're just a name without a face, you can disappear without a trace and be gone.
Via YouTube, Got a couple of things going on. We have a poll, of course, because you know that we have inquisitive temperaments here. We always want to know what you guys think about a variety of situations and issues that are floating around in the ether. Very simple question today. And so far, 91 people have voted. And it's simple. Are you an undecided voter? I'm trying to find out who you people are so I can talk to you. You undecided folks need to have a conversation with Uncle Sherwin. What gives? Why are you undecided? Why are you on the fence? What are you looking to see? And whatever it is that you are looking to see, let's see if we can get that whatever you are looking to see out of these candidates, because I have a conversation with them. I got everybody's cell phone. You understand it? Who you want me to call? I call Kelda. I call Franny Pants.
Peanut butter jelly?
Oh, yeah, I got Peanut Butter and Jelly's number. He don't be hitting me back, though. He real mad at me.
Oh, he didn't hit you back yet?
No, he's not going to. No.
Don't be scared.
We're in this because of him. When this story gets told, ladies and gentlemen, and all the details come out, because right now we're all wrapped up in this very unusual election cycle, which is technically going on right now. Early voting started on Tuesday. And by the way, if you're not registered to vote, you can do so at the polls. Had Mandela not shot for the moon and ran for the U.S. Senate in 2022, we would not have a Democratic primary. Here's the thing, though. The Republicans would not have given us this gift. Tom Tiffany is a gift. The Republicans would have ran Brian Style against Mandela Barnes. That would have been really, really tough. But because Brian Style wants to run for the U.S. Senate in 2028 during the next presidential contest, we also have U.S. Senate races. That seat is currently occupied by Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson, we believe, is not running again. In fact, we know he's not running again. Brian Style will probably be the Republican nominee, and the Republicans in 2028 will clear the field for Brian Style. He would be a monster opponent for any Democrat. This is assuming that Democrats can get their lives and their acts together between now and 2028, because I'm really in no mood to lose another presidential election. I'm just not. I'm not. We lost the last one. Things aren't going very well right now. Let's not have a continuation of where we are right now, because potentially with a J.D. Vance or a Marco Rubio, it will be worse because they politically are smarter than Donald Trump. But Mandela is the reason why we're in this primary, and he knows that he should have stayed lieutenant governor. Biennial office budget of $1 million, make about $70,000 a year. You can do whatever you want. Nobody even questions what you do. Nobody questions where you go. As long as you're not, committing any malfeasance and you're keeping your head above water and you're filing your campaign finance reports, you just sit there and be lieutenant governor. Let me give you an example. Sarah Rodriguez was lieutenant governor, and most of y'all didn't even know that. The number of people that had no idea who she was staggering. But had Mandela just stayed lieutenant governor, Tony Evers would have announced that he was not running for re-election, and Mandela, of course, would be the heir apparent. No other Democrats would have been in a crowded primary. You wouldn't have a Francesca Hong or a Joel Brennan or a Kelda. Kelda might have run anyway. Kelda sees an opportunity. She puts her foot in every door. She hedges her bets. But the primary that we're seeing right now probably wouldn't take place, and we'd all would line up behind Mandela Barnes. And we might complain about it, but at least we could guarantee some continuation of Democratic policies coming from the governor's office here in the state of Wisconsin. And also the Democrats probably would have enjoyed a legislative majority in the Senate and in the Assembly. It would have been very consistent. It would have been a great continuation of Democratic policies had Mandela just stayed put, but he didn't do that. He didn't run for re-election to lieutenant governor. He ran for the Senate. He lost. David Crowley announces in the fall of last year that he was running for governor. David told me the first person he called when he was making his decision to run for governor was Mandela Barnes. You know what Mandela told him? He's like, oh, David, I hadn't even thought about running for governor. It wasn't even on Mandela's radar to run for governor at the time, but we believe that Mandela got in the race because he's a jealous hater and didn't want David to become the first black governor. Mandela's polling at 16 or 17%. He literally is occupying space and time and attention that could aid in David Crowley's poll numbers, because there is a certain finite number of voters in the state that would actually consider voting for an African-American candidate. I think that number is high enough to where they could advance in the primary. But because Mandela is occupying that space, it is taking away from David. Not to mention the barbs and the shots and the disrespect that Mandela has intentionally aimed at David Crowley, it's petty, it's embarrassing, and it makes black elected officials and black candidates for office look like children. They already don't take us seriously. Mandela's over here playing with this democracy, and I can't respect that. This is also a reason why he doesn't call me or text me back, but quite honestly, if I was him, I wouldn't call or text me back either. He's playing games. He's also disrespectful because some real good Democrats got out of the race in 2022 to clear the field for him so he could run directly at Ron Johnson and didn't have to worry about a Democratic primary. Had they allowed those Democrats to stay in, Mandela wouldn't have advanced through the primary. Sarah Godlewski would. Sarah Godlewski would be the senator representing the state of Wisconsin. It would be Tammy Baldwin and Sarah Godlewski in the U.S. Senate, 2 Democrats. I know Sarah would have won. But she dropped out to make way for Mandela. Mandela lost. And here we are, someone who lost their last statewide election. We can't bet on someone that we know can lose to weak Republicans. Tom Tiffany is weak. Tom Tiffany probably takes showers with his mother. No. Relax. They do it to save water. It's energy, water conservation. That's why. But he also is the kind of person that, like, even when he showers, he don't get fully naked. He probably wears boxers in the shower. Oh, no, it's a sin. The good Lord doesn't want me to have my junk out, even if I am bathing myself. Oh, no, I'm Tom Tiffany. What an embarrassment. So I need to know who you 34% are. So 94 people have voted. I'm asking the question, are you an undecided voter? 63% of you said you are not an undecided voter, but 37% of you are. Okay, good. Let me talk to the 37% of the people that answered our poll on YouTube and you're still undecided. Can you type in the YouTube chat and I'm going to read your commentary? Or if you want to text us at 833-212-1017. Text us at 833-212-1017. Why are you still undecided? What do you want to see? Is there a particular set of policy ideas and platforms you want to hear? What's missing? Are you just not excited by the candidates? Like, what is it? What do you need to see? Why are you still on the fence, boo-boo? Let Uncle Sherwin get you off the fence. Come on, get off the fence and come sit on Uncle Sherwin's lap. Let me tell you all about it. Tell Uncle Sherwin what you want in a candidate. Treat me like a big black Santa Claus. Come on over here and sit on my lap. Now, hold on. Not everybody, because some of y'all got big backs. I can't have no big backs sitting on my lap. Medium size and little backs. Let's talk to Brandon. Not sure what size back he has. Hi, Brandon. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
I really appreciate you having County Exec Crowley on. I did want to say you were sure Sarah was going to win just like you were Kamala. So, sometimes you could also be wrong in how you read the tea leaves. I think that kind of speaks to a shifting landscape, and that crystal ball that Democrats used to be able to use. Those same sort of playbooks don't necessarily work. I feel some type of way about the current landscape right now. I think we will never have a more qualified county exec that's African-American from the inner city of Milwaukee running for governor, being endorsed by an outgoing governor, and the sort of apathy and lack of sort of energy that is coming from the city kind of highlights why I think a lot of the Democratic strategists and folks who are evaluating where to spend dollars and time and policy are looking at turning their backs on our areas because we've not shown that we can deliver an actual election in the last few go-arounds. And I think we've got what would be akin to a LeBron James like political candidate in David Crowley. And we're just acting like this is going to happen again and again for us. We're never going to have a black exec being supported by the outgoing governor, and we need to seize the day.
Brandon, I agree with you on literally everything you said, and that's rare because, me and you, we don't always agree now. But today you firing on all cylinders. I can't disagree with not a word you said.
All right. Thank you, brother. Take care.
You too. That's why we got to get off the phone before we do disagree. I like calls where I can agree with people. Now, I'm going to push back a little tiny bit, Brandon, a little bit. 2022, a white woman would have been the best opposition choice to Ron Johnson because women's health care was still very much on the minds of a lot or just enough voters at the time. And also, running an African American candidate against a former Tea Party, now turned Donald Trump MAGA acolyte, Ron Johnson, the juxtaposition of having Black Mandela and white Ron Johnson just made it far too easy for people that want to vote for the lowest common denominator, and that's race. White people are going to outvote us in number and in percentage. And of the people that are still undecided, which I think 34% of the people that are still undecided in this current gubernatorial primary, some of them are going to turn into non-voters. The lowest voter turnout percentage, and this is the part that's painful, and Brandon is actually right. Black people are going to have some of the lowest turnout, even though we have 2 African-American candidates that are currently running for governor. Our voter turnout numbers are going to be very, very low. We are going to be a contributing factor as to why the voter turnout, if we're lucky, is only going to be 30%. The number of people that I've talked to, and some of y'all have either heard them on this program or you heard them on my Hughes Views 414 YouTube podcast, say, oh, Sherwin, I'm going to sit this one out. I'm just going to vote in November. That's a problem. Because who you would vote for strengthens the coalition of that candidate, but it also gives Francesca Hong a more direct path. And if we want to be practical about this, and I know that there are many Democratic socialists out there that are anti-establishment and you think the Democratic Party is broken because it has not delivered, I hear you when you say that, but if the Republicans want her to win because they know that Tom Tiffany is weak, it's embarrassing to me that the Republicans put up the weakest candidate they have, and they're going to spend money to try and influence the Democratic primary to get the weakest Democrat, because they already have their playbook set. And let me tell you something about Republicans: when they have a playbook, they will run it. They're not going to play around about it. They're not going to joke around about it. They will run it page by page, line by line, chapter by chapter. They have a playbook for how they run against and beat a Democratic socialist, meaning they can have a weak candidate, that is Tom Tiffany, but the narrative that they will concoct around Francesca Hong will be just enough to convince the 25 or 30,000 voters that can deliver a statewide victory for Tom Tiffany. It's not even about him. That's why his commercials are so stupid. His commercials are not engaging, they're not interesting, they're not exciting. They're boring because it's not about him. It's about how they are going to shape the landscape around a Democratic socialist. And if Republicans are spending $4 million to get her across the finish line, what more do you need to see? They have a playbook and they are executing it. You know, the last time the Republicans had a playbook, guess what it was? Project 2025. And guess what they're doing? Line by line, bullet point by bullet point, page by page, chapter by chapter. When the Republicans have a strategy and a playbook, they win elections. Democrats over here trying to figure out what sticks to the damn wall. We don't know. The Republicans already have their script. So when you see some of these polls that say she is within the margin of error, or in some cases she is losing to Tom Tiffany, it is taking into account that they have a playbook already written and structured. And I've seen some of the Republican talking heads and the media types on social media, on Twitter and elsewhere, encouraging Republicans to vote for Francesca Hong. Now, I need you to think about that now. Let's be practical. If the Republicans want her because they believe that they can beat her, because they have the strategy and the playbook to do so, we just have to, you know what I mean? We got to consider that. Now, that still may not change some of your votes, fair enough. But here's what I'm going to do for you, because I love you so very much. I love you all a lot, some more than others. But I got to love y'all to come here and do this every day. I have to, or I'm insane. I'm probably crazy. I think that's what it is. I'm going to provide for you details on who the DSA is, because some people don't know. And I'm not going to provide the information in a biased manner because, you know, I'm a Democrat. I don't shy away from that. But some may be unfamiliar with who the Democratic Socialists of America are. Now, Francesca, full disclosure, is not endorsed by the DSA of America, okay? She's not. And she said during the debate that she does not agree with everything in their platform. They want to get rid of the presidency. They want to get rid of the U.S. Senate. They got some weird. It's weird. But I'm going to provide you information about who they are because I need folks to understand they're not Democrats. They're a different political party altogether. I also know that some of you are done with the Democrats. You're done with them. You don't like the Republicans, but you're also done with the Democrats and you want something new. I don't hold that against you, but I'm going to provide what this something new actually is and where their policies intentionally fall short, okay, in a political atmosphere where we can't have certain policies falling short, because where policies fall short, Donald Trump and his friends can take advantage and seize an opportunity. So I'm going to take a break, come back. It's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. Xavier is going to be fine. Everybody's going to be okay. Now, Xavier, you may not like some of the things that I say, but you got a thick skin.
Yeah, I mean, I listen to you talk every day. If I was upset, I would have exploded a long time ago.
Exploded on who?
I'm just figure of speech. I would have been, Sherwin, you're wrong.
No, don't do that. No.
Oh, yeah, I don't.
I mean, you can do whatever you want in a producer studio with the mic off. You can go in there. You can take your pants off for all I care.
Yeah, no, I'm just sitting here listening.
I try to provide information. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We're sitting here listening, and I'm sure your viewers are sitting on the edge of their seats.
I know they are. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on where you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America.
Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, my not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Someone just sent a message on the YouTube chat, but I lost it because you guys are messaging so fast. They said that they are afraid, meaning the Republicans, of Francesca Hong. Let me clear that up right now. You don't spend $4 million on a candidate you're scared of. You spend $4 million on a candidate you know you can beat. You spend $4 million on a candidate that you can defeat with your weak Republican nominee, which is Tom Tiffany. They didn't get Brian Style. Brian Style would have probably beat any Democrat in this field. Dude is a monster. He is. And he's perfectly tailored for white Wisconsin voters. I'm glad he ain't running. We actually have a real shot as Democrats. If we nominate a real Democrat, Republicans are not going to put money behind a candidate that is going to defeat them. They're going to put money behind a candidate that is easy to overtake because they can have a larger narrative that will permeate the Democratic Party nationwide. I need you to understand this because we need a strong DNC moving into 2028 or we're going to lose the next presidential election. Right now, the DNC is broken. It is bankrupt. It is $2.2 million in debt. They had to mortgage their building to get a loan to pay off some of their contractors and to pay their staff. And so if the Republicans can say, hey, look what happened in Wisconsin, they elected a Democratic Socialist, the entire Democratic Party is communist. That means the Democrats are going to have to spend more time defending themselves to their own constituents, and the Republicans will just be able to run on the economy. That's their playbook. And here's what's crazy. They're telling us that they're going to do it, but for some reason, we don't believe them. Please believe Republicans when they tell you what they're going to do. They call our bluff and pull our whole card every single day. They took Project 2025 and put it on a free website. They're like, hey, by the way, everybody, if you all elect Donald Trump, and they put it out months before the election, like, hey, everybody, just to let you know, if Trump gets reelected, here is everything we're going to do. Here's every federal department we're going to destroy. Here's all the money we're going to cut. Here's what we're going to do when it comes to immigration. Here's what we're going to do when it comes to deportation. Here's how we're going to upend DEI and affirmative action. No, this is totally what we're going to do. And we were like, no, you won't. Nuh-uh. On day one, Donald Trump, boom, executive order, executive order, executive order, executive order, executive order. He signed 200 of them. Why? Because it was in Project 2025. Let's talk to Ben. Hello, Ben. How are you today? What's on your mind?
I'm doing well. I appreciate your analysis and trying to educate people to the game. One thing that has always kind of bothered me is the fact that the Project 2025 was documented, was some people were trying to raise people's attention, and the masses who are now impacted by it didn't do what was necessary to be ready to fight this off. And quite honestly, now that it's been being executed, and it's only partially executed because we're only partially through his administration, what is the response, a reasonable response from the Democratic Party, seeing that something like this had been put in play, had been worked on, and actually implemented? So what's the response to Project 2025 going forward?
Democratic socialism. Seriously. So far, that's what, even though that's not an adequate response, here's what the response should be, Ben. The Democrats put out Project 2028, and they put it out right now. So
I thought about that. You know, I said, okay, if we're going to use this marketing ploy, well, what's the next project that's going to come out? I guess the question is, has that been put together?
No.
And if not yet, when? And what will it include?
So your guess is as good as mine. Don't know when it's going to come out. So where it would come from would be from the Democratic National Committee, which is like the ideas factory that Democrats all across the country will be running on. But because the DNC is in such disarray, I don't know where such a project could come from. But here's the thing. Because it's the right thing to do and it's a good idea, that's all the more reason why the Democrats are not going to do it. I think the party has been thrown into a tailspin because Kamala Harris lost in 2024. Because they bet the farm on her and on her political agenda to lead the Democrats, not just through the 2024 election, but almost in perpetuity. Like Kamala Harris had the policy platform that was going to be perfect for America, but it failed. Now the Democrats are back to the drawing board where the Republicans are just following the playbook that they wrote 2 years ago. So as far as the win, I don't know.
Well, in terms of the playbook being unfolded, people who voted for this nonsense or didn't realize it was going to include them should be, you would hope, open to not falling for this again, or working as hard as possible to avoid a continuation of what's been put in play. Because I just think that that's pretty bold to put something in writing, put it out there, and then you watch it be executed. You'll be interested to see if you could do an analysis on what hasn't been executed on yet, so people can understand, here's what's coming, part 2 of this saga.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate your call. It wouldn't matter. I could tell you what's coming up in the next 10 chapters of Project 2025, and it wouldn't matter. I don't think anybody would. People are still, Here's how the Democrats have been impacted. The Democrats don't know how to campaign when affirmative action and DEI are rolled back. When black people and people of color who made up a foundation, the, quote, establishment of the Democratic Party, when we have been like academically and economically eroded by Donald Trump's policies. Let's look at the violence in Milwaukee. Look at the teen takeovers. Like that, I can draw a direct line from eroding investments in communities and neighborhoods and in blue cities. Donald Trump made it clear about 2 weeks ago. He was like, yeah, we're giving less money to states that didn't vote for me. And guess what it manifests itself as? Black youth causing chaos and mayhem. And contrary to what the mayor may say, crime, I believe, is up. I think people are reporting it less. I think they're calling less. They're reporting, crimes infrequently. But this is exactly what's happening. And then the Republicans say, oh, look at your blue state. Look how much turmoil it's in. Look how much crime is up. The Republicans have a direct hand in that. Even the Republicans in the legislature, they will underfund Milwaukee because when you underfund a city like ours, things go wrong. Really bad things happening if we are not constantly investing in human infrastructure and things that can keep children on the straight and narrow. Like we're losing our after-school community learning centers, which keeps children off of the street when they are the most vulnerable, when they can either be perpetrators or victims of crime. Like they're literally screwing us over. The Republicans are. All this stuff is in Project 2025. But the Democrats don't know how to organize and how to create campaigns when the black community has been weakened. And so you know what they're doing? They're actually following suit. One of the reasons why I think these Democrats are ignoring the African-American vote is because they have seen that affirmative action and DEI weakens us dramatically. And our turnout was already low. This is going to make it lower. Let's talk to a patiently waiting Kathy. Kathy, thank you for holding on. Appreciate you. What's going on?
Bless you. You're like an encyclopedia. You need to get on, not on the board, but some suggestions to the Democratic Party going forward because, like you said, we're in trouble. Gwen Moore's got a female. I don't know who she is right now. She's not running against Gwen Moore. At one point, we have to talk to Gwen about maybe she can recommend or try to help work with somebody on how to run for office or whoever's interested because she's not going to be around forever and somebody can beat her. You know what I mean? So we need to work on that. This is ridiculous out here and stuff. But I'm going to tell you another one. I don't know who to vote for, and I've never been that way. Never in my life.
What do you need to see, Kathy? What is something missing from what these candidates are saying? Is there a particular policy?
They all sound pretty good. The females, the males got the same title as what the females are trying to do, but I'm not going with any males. Let's put that out there right now. I like Crowley. He needs to stay where he's at, right here in the courthouse with me, okay, as a county exec. I think he's a younger person. He can do good maybe a little later. That's just me. I don't know. Riding around up west and up north, this Tierney, or whatever his name is, guy, he's gonna be the nominee for the Republicans, right? I'm sorry, I got two females I'm going with, and that's it.
Who
I'm
are
not going
the
any other way.
females? Kelda and
So it's
Franny
only-
Pants?
Pardon me?
Who are the females you're voting for? You said you're going for two females, so Kelda and
Mhm.
Franny Pants.
Yeah, and then there's a socialist. When people use that word to try to scare people, I'm gonna tell you something. Barney Sanders is a socialist. Now that's probably from the old school people think about. They love Barney Sanders. I knew somebody these are older black women with PhD. They killed for Barney Sanders. They brought that truck down there to North Carolina. People thought that when Barney wasn't running, they almost died. Now, so what's the difference in him and Francesca? What's the difference? People are afraid. It's like Nick Romney. People are like, oh, he's a Mormon. What does he have 5 wives? And if he did, that's his business if the state allows him to have it. People are looking at this old narrative of, oh, they're a socialist, they're this. Well, they got a socialist up in New York City. Okay, so we ought to stop. What is it?
This is not New York City. The Bronx and Brooklyn, 2 boroughs in New York, have more population than the entire state of Wisconsin.
Right, but I'm saying that people are so afraid of a socialist.
I got to take a break, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to explain when I start hour 3 in a little while. I'm going to explain what socialism is. That's number 1. Number 2, black voters rejected Bernie Sanders because you know some black women with PhDs that were hardcore Bernie Sanders. There's always going to be some black folks that are going to, vote for socialism.
But why are people so afraid? I'm not saying vote. It's 2 people. I don't know anybody else to vote for it.
I'm going to explain it to you why people are afraid. Okay, so thank you for your call. Kathy got me in the upper register of my voice. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Milwaukee business owners, this is your moment. Every Friday at 8 a.m., call in to 101.7 The Truth for What the Business Is. Tell us what your business is, where you're located, and one thing you've learned along the way. What the Business is powered by We Energies, delivering the energy that powers local business. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth. Fridays at 8 a.m. on 101.7 The Truth.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Leslie texted us at 833-212-1017 and said, I'm still undecided, Sherwin. David is not aggressive enough. Fran is secondary, and everybody else is soft. Barnes is fake. I am narrowing it down. Oh, hold on. Narrowing it down to David or Joel. None of the candidates can talk about the issues of Black Milwaukee because they know whites don't care about those issues. So thank you, Leslie, for your honesty. And you are right. Candidates cannot over-index for African-American issues, even though technically black issues are everybody's issues, because if our community is hurt or is harmed, everybody in the state is going to feel it in one form or another. But I also believe that if you're a black candidate, you have to tread lightly. I personally don't like that. If people are really concerned about this political climate and they're concerned about the issues, they're concerned about tariffs and the economy and the upending of our democracy and Donald Trump trying to steal our elections, race shouldn't matter. It shouldn't. It's bigger fish to fry. If you're not going to vote for a black candidate, because I want David to start pounding his fist a little bit more. Dude is the county executive of Milwaukee County. This is why I've been so disappointed in him. He's got the biggest stick of any of these people that are running. And because he's not using that big stick, dude came back into the race with the endorsement of the incumbent governor, which never happens. Tony Evers endorsed David Crowley over people that got elected with him and actually people that Tony Evers selected to be in his administration. That's huge for David. And what that is supposed to do, with results that I'm unclear of, is ease and allay the fears of some white voters that are a little shy about voting for a black candidate from the city of Milwaukee. Tony Evers, whether you like him or not, still remains one of the most popular Democrats in the state. I'm not entirely sure how, but he is, and his endorsement does mean something. Now, I wish it meant a little bit more. I wish the other candidates in the race respected the fact that Tony Evers is tipping the scale on behalf of a candidate. What they should do is they should show some respect to David. Like, you know what, let's clear the way for David. Let's also show some loyalty to party, because the Democratic Party is under attack from the left and from the right. Under attack with Project 2025 and Trumpism and MAGA, so we know that attack, but also under attack from the hardcore far left and Democratic Socialists, because they see the Democratic Party as broken, because Kamala Harris lost the big one in 2024. And she didn't just lose, she lost big. She lost every single battleground state, and she lost the popular vote. And so that shows that the Democratic Party and all the money it invested, that was a multi-billion-dollar campaign. Let me tell you how cold Kamala Harris was and how much love she showed us. Her convention was in Chicago. You know, us Milwaukee folks, we got this rivalry with Chicago because I think Chicago, it's a waste of space. It wants to be New York, but I think Milwaukee is more New York as far as its offerings and amenities than Chicago is. Chicago it's fat pizza. That's all it is. They got fat pizza. Deep dish pizza, it's like eating a loaf of bread. Don't nobody want no fat pizza. We like thin pizza. We like skinny pizza. Like crispy cracker crust pizza. Nobody want no fat pizza. Bunch of fat pizza people. Her convention was in Chicago. Guess where Kamala came to accept the nomination? She came to Milwaukee. She got on 94. She was like, hey, Chicago people, I'll be right back. She walked off stage, got in the motorcade, came up here. So if you were at the convention, I think it was at the United Center. If you were at the United Center in Chicago and you were there in person to see Kamala accept her party's nomination, you had to watch her on the big screen because Kamala was at the Fiserv Forum. I was like, ooh, Kamala, you cold. She came here. Amen. And then lost. Jeez. What time is it? All right, got a few seconds left. When I come back for hour 3, I'm going to explain to you. Now, this is not necessarily Francesca Hong's entire platform, but I'm going to give you some background on the Democratic Socialists of America and some of the things that they do and some of the things that they don't do. And I'm going to point out the areas of policy that they miss intentionally that could potentially improve the lives of African Americans. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for hour 3.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative, and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Talking about guns with others might not always feel comfortable, but it could save a life. Here's a way to start a conversation. Your family is going over to your neighbor's home for dinner for the first time. How would you ask if there are any unlocked guns in the home?
Hey.
Hey, we're so excited for tonight. Before we come over, though, may I ask if there are any unlocked guns in your home?
Our guns are stored securely, locked in a safe that the kids can't access.
Awesome.
Learn how to have the conversation at agreetoagree.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. Improving lives so everyone can thrive. Where more people can gain access to health care and nutritious food for their tables. Where more community members can benefit from financial education and get connected to local resources for housing support. And where children are given more chances to reach their full potential. Community is where we find our strength and where we share our hope. United is the way. Visit unitedway.org.
Milwaukee Black Talk lives here on 1017 FM and 1510 AM, W269DL Milwaukee, and WGKB Waukesha.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. I'm going to give some very important details of the platform of the Democratic Socialists of America and where they don't dig into the nuance of race, because race can impact everything in this country. And if you are too burdened by it, if it causes too much attention where you got to focus on race, Democratic Socialists are like, well, you know what? Let's just be universalists in our policies. Let's just help all workers. Let's just help everybody who thinks that their health care is too expensive. If you're not looking at the nuances of how black people can still be left back because of race, then a Democratic Socialist is not the candidate for you, because they want to be post-racial. They think that everything racial has to do with capitalism. Black people are capitalists, ladies and gentlemen. We do a segment here called What the Business Is, where we are supporting black businesses. We are capitalists because we get discriminated against when we work for other white people in the corporate America. So we want to start our own businesses and we want to make money. And I don't care who you are or what you have to say about it. Black people want to be rich because for so long we haven't been. And for someone to tell us that when we get rich, now all of a sudden we are bad and we are terrible and we got to give all of our money away. We're tired of giving all of our money away. We want to keep it. We want to think a black person wants to get rich and give a whole bunch of their money away to lazy white folks that don't want to work and spend their money on purple hair dye. No, thank you. That's just not us. That's okay. And I also don't appreciate a political party that is a third political party that wants to try and encapsulate all of the black issues into a universalist platform without knowing and understanding the nuances of who we are. Nobody knows who we are, but they come into our community and they try and organize. They try to tell us up from down, left from right. You think the black folks ain't dealt with that before? It is a form of white supremacy that is couched and coded into, oh, we're going to help everybody. America's not that kind of place. And why all of a sudden do black people have to just pretend that we didn't deal with all the things that we had to deal with and just say, oh, all that stuff was in the past. Let's all just be universal with the Democratic Socialists. That's insane. You're asking us to forgive and forget. No, thanks. I know that they don't want to be burdened with the nuance of race because it's troublesome. It is really, really hard to decipher. It is. It's hard to parse through it because you got to understand history. There's also no motive and no motivation to actually teach black history so you can explain to people in this country why black people are in the situation that they're in, why more black mothers die with numbers rivaling that of a third world country when they give birth, why more black children are born prematurely, why there still is no emphasis on lead testing black children, leading to lower IQs and leading to lower reading and math scores. There is no analysis of that in Democratic Socialist policy. It's like, we just want to fully fund public education, but fully funding public education also has to include testing black children for lead to explain why we can't read. But they don't do that. They don't get into the nuance of it. And look, I know capitalism is a problem and sometimes, but they're focused on the smallest percentage of people and making them the enemy. But if you look at black people and black culture writ large, it's a much larger community that's actually our enemy. In fact, the real establishment, which is racism. And of course, they can have anti-racist policies, but if you don't look at how racist policies really impact the day-to-day lives, like home ownership, Democratic Socialists have no plan whatsoever to increase black home ownership, black assets, and black wealth. Literally no plan whatsoever. And if you have someone running for office and that is in their platform, nothing for us to increase our home ownership, then we're going to remain poor with no equity. Somebody has to be focused on all of the things that have been ignored that is impacting our community with disparities that are literally tangible. And if you don't have an answer for them, you're just not the candidate for us. That is real simple. But people take it personal, and I get it. They're all excited. I threw my papers. Y'all, see what y'all did to me? I got to give away some State Fair tickets. What is this? Found it.
Yeah, you're throwing your papers everywhere.
Should I just do it now?
Yes.
One day only, beginning Thursday, July 30th to Thursday. I didn't have to read that. Get ready for State Fair fun with 1017 The Truth. Today only, Thursday, July 30th, we're giving away 5 family packs. No, is this right? We're giving away 5 family 4-packs. Not all at once.
No, so it's one per show. So there's 5 shows, so.
I should have wrote this better. I'm just going to read it as it stands.
Yes.
Let's start over, everybody. Today only, Thursday, July 30th, we're giving away 5 family 4-packs of Wisconsin State Fair tickets. That's your chance to win 4 tickets and enjoy all the food, all the rides, all the entertainment at the 2026 Wisconsin State Fair. Running from July 30th. Oh, it starts tomorrow. No, it starts today. July 30th through August 9th. Listen all day for your cue to call and win. Don't miss it. Only on the award-winning 1017 The Truth. That's your cue to call if you want to win. How many tickets? 4 tickets to State Fair. Call 833-212-1017. A caller number. What call should we do? Call number 400?
Call number 10. And you're supposed to talk to them after we select them.
What if I don't want to?
Well, I don't know. You have to talk to Sierra about that, I guess.
Hello?
Call number 10?
Not even close. You're calling number 1.
Okay.
All right, then now. Call number 10 at 833-212-1017. 833-212-1017 wins the 4 tickets to the Wisconsin State Fair that starts today. You can eat food out there. They got shish kebabs, I guess. They got stuff on a stick. You can get a donut burger. You can get the Big Back Special. You get a corn dog. I found out today that Bailey Coleman's guilty pleasure is cotton candy.
Very interesting.
It's just spun sugar. So, yeah. Oh, look at all the people calling right now. So, you're going to win a 4-pack of State Fair tickets. So, in the meantime, while you guys are winning your State Fair tickets. So Xavier, when you get the person, put them on. I guess I'll talk to them. Whoever is calling. What caller are we doing? Number 10? Hey, we got 10 people calling at the same time right now. Call number 10 gets a State Fair ticket, and I guess I'll talk to them. Okay, here we go. Unlike organizations like the Urban League or the NAACP, the Democratic Socialists of America is not a black advocacy organization. Its central premise is that capitalism produces racial inequality. Racism has historically been used to divide workers. Eliminating economic exploitation is necessary to eliminate racial injustice. That is wrong. Their premise fundamentally of who they are as an organization is faulty. Because you provide workers fair wages, you think that the white workers are still not going to hate the black ones? They're operating from a false reality, and that is because they do not know and understand the nuances of black people and black culture and our interaction in this society with race specifically. They think that they can just take the shortcut. Well, if we get rid of capitalism, then capitalism can't exploit people. Not keeping in mind that black people are, in fact, capitalists. We love having our own businesses. We love the independence and the freedom with being an entrepreneur. I'm looking at Zach right now. Zach is an entrepreneur. Zach is a DJ. Zach don't necessarily want to DJ from some company where they're going to pay him a lot less. He can DJ on his own.
We got our call number 10.
All right, who is it?
Tiffany.
Right here? Okay. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, Sherwin. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations. You just won 4 state fair tickets.
Thank you so much.
Who are you going to take with you?
I am going to take myself and my 3 boys.
Oh, look at that. That's perfect.
Yep, it is.
Well, I hope you enjoy yourself at the state fair. And what station makes you a winner?
The Truth, 101.7.
All right. You have a good time at the fair, Tiffany. All right. I should have asked her if she was a decided voter. Hello?
Rizzo Jones calling to claim those tickets. Am I number 10?
No.
Ah, shucks. Next time.
Okay, then, buddy. All right, now. Okay. Hey, who's this? Oh,
This is Rodney. Is that number 10?
no, you're number 12. We already got our winner. Her name is Tiffany.
Oh, man. All right, thank you.
What's going on? Oh, that's me in the background. All right. I shouldn't do that. That's not nice.
No, it's good radio.
No, because people get all excited. Many political scientists identify limitations in democratic socialist platforms. Compared with organizations focused specifically on African Americans. Now, keep in mind, we're in a climate right now in the state of Wisconsin where black issues are not at the forefront, and it seems that candidates, even the ones that are from Milwaukee, are running away from representing African Americans. There's no real concerted effort to register African American voters to make sure that we're actually turning out in this election. So that is the climate that we are in. Also, keep in mind, we've been put at a disadvantage because of the current political climate, to where even the liberal Wisconsin State Supreme Court voted 7-0 to end a minority scholarship. We have a referendum that's going to appear on our ballot, not the August 11th primary ballot, but the November ballot, that is going to make permanent affirmative action and DEI is going to be removed from every aspect of the state of Wisconsin. Okay, so we are in an anti-minority political climate. Voting for a political party that does not understand the nuance of that is dangerous, and what it will do is it will help solidify the disparities that we are so very much fighting against every single day. And one of the ways in which we rectify some of these disparities and get some kind of equity is by voting for candidates that understand the nuance of the disparity. They may know that MPS is underperforming, but we also need candidates that say, yes, the district is underperforming, but black children are performing dramatically worse and have been for generations. We need policymakers that will focus on that. Not just, oh, the district needs more money, fully fund public education. Because let me humor you for a moment. If you fully fund public education, you can still underfund the specialty programs that some black children need. It's possible to do that. So if a Democratic Socialist says, we got to fund public education, and then at the same time they want to eliminate the parental choice program, they can fully fund public education knowing that black children are going to underperform in a fully funded public school, and then take away options that parents may choose that can actually help their children scholastically. So that's not fair. And that's also a political party that does not understand the nuance of race. You can't take away the parental choice program. It was created as a response to MPS because MPS was not going to fix itself. Children and parents couldn't wait. So a whole new funding mechanism to allow parents to have more choices in where they send their kids to school instead of North Division. Compared with organizations focused specifically on African American issues, the Democratic Socialists of America has relatively no detailed policy devoted exclusively to black communities. Examples include, please listen to me good. Listen good. Black entrepreneurship. There is no discussion of, in the Democratic Socialist platform, increasing black-owned businesses. There is no discussion of black venture capital. There is no conversation or policy platform for supplier diversity, minority business lending, or business formation in the black community. The emphasis instead is on co-ops, worker ownership, and public enterprises rather than black entrepreneurship. Wealth building. The Democratic Socialists discuss wealth inequality broadly, but has no policy details on black home ownership, no policy details on intergenerational wealth, no policy details on black estate planning, no policy details on black investment, and no policy details for black asset accumulation. Education. While Democratic Socialists support tuition-free college, universal child care, and equitable school funding, the Democratic Socialists of America has no policy detail on closing black literacy gaps, no policy detail on it. No policy detail on improving reading proficiency amongst black children. No policy detail on historically black colleges and universities. And when I say no policy detail, they ignore them. What do you think happens if we ignore HBCUs? What do you think will happen? If there's no specific policy details to make sure that they can get funding like predominantly white institutions do, they'll go away. I'm not voting for a political party that's going to upend our institutions. They were created so that black students could have options that can focus on who we are and our culture. And you have a political party that doesn't even treat them like they're real. No, thank you. I'm not trying to tell y'all what to do. I'm just giving you the facts of what they say and what they don't say about issues that impact the black community. While we are in a political climate that is as anti-black as you can possibly get because Donald Trump is the president. Democratic Socialists support tuition-free college, universal child care, and equitable school funding. The Democratic Socialist has no detailed policy on closing black literacy gaps. No detailed policy on improving reading proficiency amongst black children. Zero mention or policy detail on historically black colleges and universities. No detail on increasing teacher diversity, and no details on culturally responsive curriculum. Public safety. The Democratic Socialists of America devotes substantial attention to policing and incarceration. It has no policy detail on reducing violent crime, no policy detail on homicide prevention, no policy detail on witness intimidation, no policy detail on gun violence within black communities specifically. Critics, including some black elected officials, argue this is a weakness because many black communities consistently express strong support for both police reform and effective crime reduction, and Democratic Socialists offer none of that. Let's talk to Al. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I'm doing good. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day. Now, I heard you brought up the mayor earlier, tackle no problems within the city, because he gives too much tuna fish and massengale. And that means he will have to put his big draws on. And he's not ready for the wrath if he puts the big boy draws on.
You talking about the county executive?
Moving forward.
Or the
No,
mayor?
I'm talking about Mayor. Yeah, Mayor.
Oh.
He gives too much tuna fish. And when you're giving tuna fish and massengale, you're not putting the big boy draws on. Because when you put the big boy draws on, you're ready for whatever comes your way. And Cavalier Johnson is not ready for that. So he's going to be tuna fish. Tuna fish. Now, with David Crowley, I feel he can land the plane and he can really sink the Titanic, not the Olympic. But, see, I think the problem is he kind of tiptoe. He has all the information to bring the whole organization down. Bring it down. And dealing with white people don't like it filtered. They like it raw. They want it raw as it can get. And everybody, and I know there's some white people that's listening, y'all know you like it raw. You don't like nothing filtered. And I think if David Crowley said, I'm going to give it to you as raw as you can get it because I'm going to serve it raw, I guarantee he'll probably have people stand behind him. A lot of white people don't like it when you give it to them filtered. Hell, white people don't even give it to black people filtered. They going to give it to you raw as it can get. They going to give it to you so raw they ain't going to even wash their hands. They just going to give it to you and say, take it how you leave it, how you like it. But if David Crowley was giving it to him raw, like just down raw, I think he would have people standing behind him. But my question for you, Mr. Hughes, do you think when it comes to black politicians, the reason they don't give it raw because they think they see white people and they think they see Jesus?
Oh, Al, that's a loaded question. To their defense, It's difficult for black politicians to do a whole bunch of things for black people because they still have to get political support and votes from other white politicians. They also are dealing with racism from their specific political positions as well. Because you're a black elected official doesn't mean that you have been elected above racism. You just deal with it from a different perspective.
But isn't it? But there are so many angles and so many deliveries that you can deliver it without walking on your tippy toes. I know he's over a size 9, and I know he can walk heel to toe, not on your tippy toes. And we all know dealing with white people, they don't like nothing filtered. They like it raw.
Actually, Al, you know what? Yes, there is a way that black elected officials, especially when they are in majorities, that they can deliver political wins for black people. Here's the problem. The people that we have in elected office right now, it's not always the best of the best. These are the people that are willing to run. Some of the people that could better deliver for us, black politicians, if they ever decided to become black politicians, would do very, very well. But here's the thing. They don't want to deal with the mess of a campaign and an election. So the people that we have right now are not necessarily the most effective, but these are the people that are willing to run in an election where most normal, sane people will not. So that explains our lack of policy delivery. We don't always get our first choice of who runs for office. We got to take who we can get sometimes. Like, people would love it if you ran for office, Al, because you could be very effective. But guess what? You probably don't want to run for office.
Well, I wouldn't do it now, but you give me a couple of years, I would. Do you feel we need to start having bigger expectations for some of our politicians and telling them what we want versus they get our vote and they say F you, FUB, and keep it pushing?
Yes, but here's the thing. We also, because, there's not many people like you, Al. Like, you will call it out and you will point out where they're not doing a good job, where they are deficient and they're not delivering. Most people won't do that. So let's say we have like a budget hearing where our black elected officials are literally inviting us to come out and for us to tell them how we want them to spend our money, but nobody shows up. Or what's even worse is a black elected official will have a budget hearing and a bunch of white people show up. And then the white people determine where money gets spent in the black community. So we as a community have to be much more involved and much more engaged as well. We can't just trust our black elected officials to do everything for us. They still need our guidance, but a lot of times we don't show up. So we got to take some responsibility.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have you a frozen buzzball and 2 shots of gin.
Thank you, Al.
On the rocks.
Oh, yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye then. Bye-bye. Can't forget the rocks. All right, I'm going to take a break. Right? I got to take a break, right? Come back. Continue giving you guys the details of where Democratic Socialists, they miss the nuance of race. It is a perfect political party platform and structure for white people that don't want to be burdened by the nuances of how black people are impacted in America by policy that does not specifically focus on the disparity. Because for white people, they don't want to be slowed down in getting the fully funded public education and getting their worker rights. They don't want to be burdened by racial inequality. Why? Because white people don't have any racial inequality. And so if there's a political party that ignores it in favor of this quote-unquote universalism, that is why these ultra-progressives, it's a white political movement. Because if democratic socialism was actually something for us, we would have black democratic socialists running for office for the last 50 years, but we don't, do we? We don't. There's a reason for that. Black people have got to be extremely specific about our policies. And we dabble with all sorts of different political inclinations. You got black Republicans, black MAGA, black Trumpers, black moderates, black independents. And where do we go? We don't go to democratic socialism because it's not a modality that works for us because they ignore the nuances of race. It's very simple. Now, Francesca just happens to be a very nice, very pleasant, unintimidating package. Don't get fooled by that. There is an actual platform that is behind her that does, in fact, ignore the nuances of race. Don't be fooled because she's a very pleasant, nice lady. She's very nice. I've talked to her on many of an occasion. Hell, she called the show this week. She's very nice. But it's not her niceness. It's the policies that her and her brand of socialists subscribe to that will not eliminate disparities that exist between black and white in Milwaukee and across the nation. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Are people around me safe when I vape? Science does not support that belief. Exhaled vape emissions linger in the air, affecting indoor air quality and bystanders in the same space through secondhand exposure. Vaping emissions can also accumulate on clothes, hair, dust, and furniture, leading to exposure risks to bystanders of all ages. And vaping around a pregnant person can lead to serious health impacts on fetal and childhood development. Enough with the puff. Learn more at ul.org/vaping.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Reading aloud to children sharpens their listening skills, expands their vocabularies, and nurtures a lifelong love of reading. That's why Reading is Fundamental, the nation's leading children's literacy nonprofit, offers free monthly read-alouds by popular authors through its Rally to Read program. Visit rallytoread.org to watch the read-alouds and discover exciting reading activities for school and home. Visit rallytoread.org today.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Joe texted in at 10:56 and said, "Stop hating on Chicago, man. I will do no such thing." What else do we got here? Uncle Steve says we still haven't learned our lesson from Hillary versus Sanders. Uncle Steve says, he sent me a link. I'm nervous on clicking on some of the links y'all send me because if I mess up this computer, everybody that has to use this in-studio computer will be mad at me. I got to be careful of the computer viruses and whatnot. Uncle Steve, just type out a synopsis of the article because I'm not clicking on the link. All right, let's talk to Zena. Zena, you're on 1017 The Truth. How are you?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Long-time listener. And just wanted to say, Sherwin Hughes, thank you so much for all of the knowledge that you provide us on a daily basis, giving us information that we might not otherwise have time to research because we don't make that time. And I'm with you. If I could vote today, I would vote for Mr. Brennan. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people don't know who he is. So it might seem like a wasted vote. So I'm still considering what I should be doing in the meantime, but I will be at the polls on the 11th, casting my vote for prime minister candidate.
All right. Thank you, Zena. Appreciate your compliments and your support.
Guys, have a good day.
You too, Zena. This is where many political scientists identify meaningful limitations of democratic socialism. Compared with organizations that focus specifically on African Americans, the Democratic Socialist has relatively no detailed policy devoted exclusively to Black communities. Number one, no policy discussion of Black entrepreneurship. No conversation or policy platform on increasing Black-owned businesses. No policy platform on Black venture capital. No policy platform on supplier diversity, which is a problem because the Wisconsin Institute of Law and Liberty is suing to end the supplier diversity program, and Democratic Socialists have no response to that politically. That's a problem. They have no policy response to minority business lending and black business formation. Instead, Democratic Socialists focus on co-ops, worker ownership, and public enterprises rather than black entrepreneurship. Democratic Socialists have no policy platform for black home ownership increases, intergenerational wealth. They have no policy platform for estate planning, investment, and asset accumulation in the black community. When it comes to education, Democratic Socialists do support tuition-free college. They do support universal child care. They do support equitable school funding, but they have no policy details on closing black literacy gaps. They have no policy detail on improving reading proficiency amongst black children. They have zero policy detail on protecting and supporting historically black colleges and universities. Democratic Socialists have no policy details on increasing teacher diversity. They have no policy platform on culturally responsive curriculum. This is a white people's political modality, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not taking that away from them. It just ain't for us. Let them have it. Let them have it. Let them have it in Nebraska. Let them have it in North Dakota and South Dakota. There's a whole bunch of places where they can enact this kind of democratic socialism because it is devoid of the nuance of race. And so it will work best where race is not a factor in majority white places. The problem is they're trying to shove it down black people's throats and trying to get black people to ignore our own reality. And some people, black people, do ignore our own reality. But for others, we do live in the real world. When it comes to public safety, Democratic Socialists devote substantial attention to policing and incarceration. It has no policy platform dedicated to reducing violent crime, homicide prevention, witness intimidation, and gun violence within the black community specifically. Critics, including black elected officials, argue this is a weakness because many black communities consistently express strong support for both police reform and effective crime reduction. Family formation. Democratic Socialists have no policy platform on marriage, black fatherhood, black family stability, fertility. You know what natalism is? Nobody is encouraging black women to have children. You ever notice that? But a lot of encouragement is for white women to have more babies. You ever think about that? Nobody's telling black women to have more kids, even though black women's fertility is actually going down. Political scientists generally describe the Democratic Socialists as pursuing intersectional socialism rather than identity-specific development. If everyone receives health care, housing, education, union rights, child care, and higher wages, then Democratic Socialists believe the racial disparities will go away. Critics respond with, some racial disparities persist even if you have housing, fully funded education, union rights, and universal child care. Examples include maternal mortality. Democratic Socialists have no policy platform on that. On wealth gaps, on lending discrimination, which harms black entrepreneurs and business owners. They have no policy platform on sentencing disparities that impact black communities. They have zero policy platform on racial segregation. Just not a political party for us, especially in these times. Let's tell you what, take a break. Marlon, hang on. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to come back and talk to you on the other side. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Doctors Without Borders is delivering life-saving medical care where it's needed most in communities around the world. From bandaging war-wounded patients in Sudan to providing clean drinking water in Haiti, we're in more than 70 countries worldwide, bringing patients from sick to recovering, from emergency to aid, from crisis to care. This life-saving care is made possible by a global movement of supporters like you. Thank you.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love. Check that your kids are in the right seat at NHTSA.gov/the right seat. Love protects. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
For 250 years, our armed forces have bravely served America. Wounded Warrior Project honors that legacy by supporting post-9/11 service members and veterans like Anthony, a Marine who was injured by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan.
They carried me through my injuries, not just my physical, but my mental. And seeing other vets doing the same thing helped me tell myself, hey, you can do this.
Join us in honoring warriors at woundedwarriorproject.org/America.
In the United States, a vehicle is stolen every 31 seconds, about as long as this message. Luckily, you can take a few easy steps to protect your car in the same amount of time. Remove your valuables, roll up your windows, don't leave your car running unattended, lock your doors, and take your keys or fob. If you have information about a crime, call the police. If you suspect insurance fraud, also call 800-TEL-NICB. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Looking to discover and support local businesses in our community? Then make sure you tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. to Truth in the Morning with Homer and Bailey for What the Business Is, powered by We Energies. Each week, you'll hear from local business owners as they share what their business is, where they're located, and one valuable lesson they've learned along the way. We Energies is proud to help local businesses and the communities they serve. Don't miss What the Business Is every Friday at 8 a.m. only on Truth in the Morning with Homer Blow and Bailey Coleman, powered by We Energies, delivering energy that powers local business. Oh, and the Democratic Socialists want to get rid of We Energies too. So, and they're a sponsor here at 1017 The Truth. I'm just telling you the stuff that you need to know now. Let's talk to Marlon. Thank you for waiting and holding, Marlon. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Doing all right. What's on your mind?
So I was thinking, I've listened to you talk about Ms. Fong and being a Democratic socialist, but you also said that they don't endorse her and she doesn't agree with them. So tell us about what they are believing. Is kind of a little disingenuous, because if she doesn't believe in them and they're not supporting her, does that she may not be like a Democrat. Kind of like how we hear people say I'm an independent, but realistically they just vote for Democrats the whole time. You know what I'm saying? I think it's kind of like that a little bit.
So here's what they were hitting her on, something very specific that's also on the platform, and I'm not reading that part of their platform. I'm only reading the part of the platform that intentionally ignores, and they've been around since 1982, and since 1982, they still have not come up with policy solutions to things that impact black people, meaning they don't want to. She is against the fact that they want to get rid of the U.S. Senate. Democratic Socialists of America want to get rid of the presidency. That is the part that she doesn't agree with. But all of this other stuff, all of this stuff is fair game, because it is the nuts and bolts of who the Democratic Socialists have been for the last 44 years. So she agrees that we still need to have a president and a U.S. Senate.
Okay, so I'm kind of interested because Mamdani calls himself a Democrat socialist.
He's doing social
same
democracy.
lines either.
Big difference. He's doing social democracy where you make buses free and you reduce rent. Democratic socialism cannot be enacted unless you have the governor and the state legislature that are behind you. He's just the mayor of a city. Just like Mayor Cavalier Johnson can't have all that much impact on social policies in the city of Milwaukee, especially not without a council that's behind him. But we got to stop looking at New York and think it's relatable. New York is a whole different universe. Two boroughs in New York City, Marlon, are bigger than the entire state of Wisconsin. We are a rural, Midwestern, mostly red county state that has snow on the ground half of the year. We're not New York City.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I'm just saying, when I look at Mamdani and the things that he's doing, not as a governor, but like his thoughts and his policies and I think she leans more like him versus anything else. And I'm just be honest with you, I'm still kind of up in the air myself. So I'm just kind of looking at everybody. I'm kind of limited to probably two people who I'm either going to vote for. Is either her or David Crowley. But, besides that, I'm just trying to figure out what really makes sense for us. You know what I mean? And I'm just, and if I could be honest, I'm a little tired of just the traditional politicians and all that kind of stuff. Like the other night when Mandela kept talking about Robin Voss. I don't want to hear about Robin Voss no more. I want to hear about what you're doing and what that means to me and how that's going to affect me. I could care less about what Robin Voss did in the last. Because every time he says something, well, let me go back and tell you, well, how come we're here? We're talking about, that's old politics. And I don't want to hear that no more. I'm just kind of fed up with that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Marlon. Appreciate your call.
Take care. Yeah, have a day.
Donald Trump is also not one of those, old politicians. He's a businessman. Several scholars have argued, and I have the names of the scholars, one of which is Cornel West, have argued that American democratic socialism has historically struggled to reconcile class politics with race. And I want to explain this to you. It is too complicated and too burdensome to look at how black people are harmed specifically, so they ignore it and just say, oh, let's just look at class. Because if all black people are middle class, which the majority of us are anyway, well, then racism goes away. No, it doesn't. Because they fail to see racism, and disparity that is created because of race, they are not adequate in their policy-making abilities for African Americans. And I'm not trying to take democratic socialism away from anybody, nor would I ever. It just isn't for a community that has been yelling and screaming from the mountaintops about our disparities, and it falls on deaf ears. It's fallen on deaf ears with sometimes regular Democrats. Democratic socialists have written it out of their platform and have not sought to include it in the 44 years they have been in existence. And again, I don't take that away from them. It just isn't a party for me. Among recurring critiques of black scholars, black Americans have experienced forms of oppression that are not reduced by class alone. Racism has sometimes benefited segments of the white working class. Economic universalism does not eliminate racial inequality. I'm going to say that again. Economic universalism, which is supported universally by democratic socialists, does not eliminate racial inequality. Black political priorities often include civil rights enforcement, voting rights, policing, and wealth building alongside redistributive economics. Conversely, the democratic socialist supporters argue that capitalism and racism are developed together. They argue that universal social democratic institutions reduce racial disparities completely. Lies. They argue that labor organizing has historically been one of the strongest vehicles for interracial political power. Let me just stop that one cold in its tracks. The reason why we have closed shop unions right now is because freed slaves, when they came north, we were skilled labor. We had more skills arriving in the North after slavery than some of those white men did, because if you were a black boy, you had to shoe horses, you had to build barns, you had to build houses, you had to make roads, you had to do every kind of skilled trade and labor that there was. So when we arrived north looking for jobs, we were overqualified. So they used organized labor unions to keep black people out of the trades. So when democratic socialists say, no, unions are a great racial equalizer, no, they're not. They were originally used and created to keep black men out of high-skilled jobs that paid good wages. I'm going to take a break, come back, talk to Linda on the other side. If you're so inclined, 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
The Truth with
Educators-
Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Educators Credit Union is more than a place to manage your money. They're where your financial possibilities take shape. They're more than transactions. They're conversations about your financial goals. More than numbers, they're community advocates who support free, local events that are accessible to all. They foster community because we are stronger together. Educators Credit Union is people helping people. Become a member at ECU.com. Insured by NCUA. Membership eligibility required.
I'm Chris Jakovic. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakovic, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
'Cause remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I mentioned Professor Dr. Reverend Cornel West, who does call himself a Democratic Socialist. In fact, he was a big surrogate for Bernie Sanders. But here's where Cornel West differs. He seeks to fill in the blanks and create race-specific policies that Democratic Socialists ignore. So he's a useful individual to have as a part of their movement, because he is reminding the DSA that racial issues need to be included in their platform, and to the best of my knowledge, they have not adopted it. The DSA itself, founded in 1982, does not have any history of creating major black-specific public policies comparable to long-established civil rights organizations. It is fair to conclude that the DSA's policy architecture is universalist and not black-specific. Compared with organizations whose mission is centered on African American advancement, the Democratic Socialists of America offer no detailed policy on issues such as black wealth accumulation, black entrepreneurship, educational achievement and disparity, family stability, and community-level violent crime prevention. Those omissions have led both supporters and critics to debate whether Democratic Socialists' emphasis on class-based solutions adequately addresses the distinctive, historical, and contemporary challenges facing Black Americans. As a political party, they ignore our issues. And if you are an African American, if you too are post-racial and you are fatigued and don't want to be burdened by the nuance of race, then it's a political party that's for you. However, for the rest of us that focus on these disparities that everyone seems to ignore, it's not a political party for us. Let's talk to Linda. You're on 101.7 The Truth. How are you?
I am blessed, Sherwin, especially by you and your presence in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Sherwin Hughes.
Oh, thanks,
you
Linda.
are on your, huh?
Thank you, Linda. That's very nice of
Yes,
you.
yes.
Stop trying
Sherwin,
to butter me up.
I want to thank you and thank God for you because, baby, the way you are whipping it out today, you need a higher platform. I'm just trying to tell you because you breaking all that sugar, honey, iced tea down for those in the back, in the front, at the top, and at the bottom to understand and see how we are being ousted politically. And so now we, Black Milwaukee, have a charge to keep. He has given us the questions to ask our representatives. You know, I'm taking notes. I'm going to ask these questions. I'm asking my aldermen, my senators, congressmen, all of them. I'm going to put those questions up in their faces because they have got to recognize that racism affects Black people. And this is how they affect them. The way you broke that down, baby, I want to use a lot of profanity right now just to show how deep this is.
Don't use any profanity, Linda. Don't do it.
And your intelligence and your gift. I just love it. I want you to marry me.
Then get on your knee and propose. Get on your knees.
I will.
Do it right now. Get on. I want to hear you get on your knees for
I'm
Daddy.
gonna do it in front of paper.
Yeah,
and I want to, man. I'm just trying to tell you, Sherwin, for real. You are so gifted, and we are so blessed to have you in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and to represent the Black experience in Milwaukee and in this country. For real. Thank you so much. I love you, and I'll be waiting for you. Have a good one.
What you mean by that?
Boing, boing, boing.
What do you mean by that? You mean waiting for me? You don't have to. I don't want to get married. Silver Fox Summer. I can't get married. Maybe in the fall, maybe cuffing season. I like cuffing season. It's a mad rush when cuffing season starts. And I like to be there at the start of cuffing season.
Cuffing season?
Oh, yes, because when the weather starts to get cold and you got to find somebody to cuddle up with. Because out in the summertime, you can thought. You can thought about. You can thought around the city. You can thought. But then when cuffing season comes, you got to narrow down the roster. And you got to find someone that you're going to spend those cold, chilly fall nights with, somebody you can cuddle up and Netflix and chill with, somebody you can go in the kitchen and make dinner with them. And then when she's doing the dishes, you come up behind her and you kiss her on her neck, and it's romantic. And then you go in the living room and you put on the Netflix and you watch the Netflix. And then it's somebody you can go to the different holiday pageants with, and you can go see A Christmas Carol at the Performing Arts Center, and you can do all of the holiday shopping together, and you can bring in the new year together, and you can enjoy the winter together, because winter is always better when you're with somebody, because it's cold in the winter and it gets dark early in the winter, and you want to have somebody like a little belly warmer with you know what I'm saying, in the wintertime. But then here comes March. Oh no, here comes the big thaw. Ooh, here comes the first 60-degree day. And then next thing you know, it's April. Oh no, and then spring is right around the corner. Time to be a thought again.
I thought Thodden was year round.
Thank you for being with me during cuffing season, but now the weather is warm. I gotta get back on my game. Got to get back out there. Sorry, I'll see you next fall. That's the cycle of life. It's a beautiful cycle. Beautiful cycle. Compared with organizations that focus specifically on African Americans, the Democratic Socialists of America has no policy detail devoted exclusively to black communities, particularly no policy detail on increasing black-owned businesses, black venture capital, black supplier diversity, no policy focusing on the lack of minority business lending and business formation. They instead focus on co-ops, worker ownership, and public enterprise. The Democratic Socialists of America have no policy platform to increase black home ownership, intergenerational wealth, estate planning, investment, and asset accumulation. Democratic Socialists do support tuition-free college. They do support universal child care. They do support equitable school funding. The Democratic Socialists of America has no policy detail on closing black literacy gaps. That's why they want to close all the parental choice schools. Improving reading proficiency amongst black children. They have no policy detail on supporting historically black colleges and universities. They have no policy detail on teacher diversity. They have no policy detail on culturally responsive curriculum for schools in which the children are majority African American. Let's talk to Mac. You're on 1017 The Truth. How are you, Mac?
Hey, good morning, and masterful interview today. It was excellent.
Oh, thank you.
Very well.
With the county executive.
What I called for is to say that maybe Linda should get down on her knee at the back to school thing at the Riverside Park.
Don't tell her that, Mac. Don't do that.
Then everybody would see it, and we would love that. So we're looking forward to that, and we will speak with you tonight.
I definitely am.
All right. Have a good one.
No. Don't encourage that.
That's a good idea.
I can't have her getting on her knees in public. That's embarrassing.
That's how you propose to people, though.
She's not proposing to me. And plus,
I will clear time in my schedule to make it if she does that, so I can record it.
No, I don't want that to happen. That's very private. It's a private thing. So there was a Truth Family Fest because I went late on purpose in hopes that I could just be in and out, just say hello to everybody. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go late because everybody will probably be gone by the time I get there. And when I get there, Linda was waiting for me. And she ran up to me and she wrapped her legs around me, and Carrie recorded it and put it on social media. And it's very... Half the city thinks that I'm humping Linda. I'm not humping her. So I'm not doing a Hughes Views 414 tonight. I got stuff I got to do. So we'll keep you posted on when I'm broadcasting live on YouTube next. But you still can subscribe to the channel. The lunch break is up next. Bye-bye.
Join us for the 16th Annual Bronzeville Week, the premier celebration of Milwaukee's rich African-American legacy of culture, arts,